Hello listeners, it's Lewis. Just a quick note before we start. One, thank you so much to all our brand new listeners who joined us via Samsung last week. We had our biggest week of downloads ever, with nearly 3,000 individual downloads in 7 days around the world. Madness! We're delighted to have you all with us. Thank you. Second of all, when we recorded the episode you're about to listen to, we noticed after about 40 minutes of recording that my laptop had decided to take my audio from the wrong feed, using my AirPods instead of my microphone. So for the first part of this ep, I'm afraid it does sound like I'm dialing in my appearance on Muppetsational via the telephone. However, we did realise the issue, and the rest of the episode after the 40-minute mark is in our usual pristine audio quality. Only it was also recorded 2.5 weeks later. We'll explain that when we get to it. Anyway, sorry about that, but we hope you enjoy the show.
Hello and welcome to Muppetsational, the UK's biggest Muppet Show podcast, hosted by 3 huge Muppet fans. Join us each week as we dive into an episode of Jim Henson's classic variety show, now finally available on Disney+. This week, it's Season 2, Episode 12, starring the Broadway baby, Bernadette Peters. It's time to get things started on the chronological, explorational, conversational Muppetsational!
Woo, woo, woo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Muppetsational. I'm Lewis Chandler.
I'm Jade Turner.
And I'm Emma Chandler.
And we are here this week, as we are every week, to discuss another episode of The Muppet Show. And this week, as you probably will have seen from our episode title, we are joined by a special guest. She is a multi-hyphenate, a writer, broadcaster, presenter, and yarn shop owner. She is one half of the podcast Rosie and Jessica's Day of Fun. She is the writer of You Will Be Able to Knit by the End of This Book, a scriptwriter on the podcast sitcom Wooden Overcoats, has written op-eds for the New Statesman and Observer, and contributed to the film programme and Front Row for Radio 4, and can count both Tony Blair and Mindy Kaling as her nemeses. She is also one of my best friends. Please welcome to the podcast, Rosie Fletcher!
Woo, woo, woo. Thank you very much. What an intro. It's sadly all true.
Thank you so much. I wrote it slightly tipsy as I was heading back.
As I would want.
Exactly. So I thought, do you know what? I'll just toss it all in. How are you, my love?
Yes, I'm all right. I'm very warm.
Yes.
I don't know if that's relevant to the Muppet Show, but it's warm. Completely distracted by the state of the nation. So this is a wonderful respite.
Yes, I don't quite know when this episode is going to come out, but if we're going to date it exactly, today is the day Boris Johnson has resigned!
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Yes! It's a wonderful time, vaguely, but then also still doom in many other ways. But we're very happy to see him go. We'll bring it back from one Muppet to another. Oh, I can do political comedy.
Oh, biting satire there.
Oh, yes. Not the only one who could do an op-ed.
I mean, pretty offensive to Muppets, but there you go.
That's very true.
He's a Muppet, if nothing else.
He is a Muppet.
I hope we're going to see him. The only career we're going to see for him is like singing badly in a cabaret lounge and singing about the deals of the buffet and the hotel rooms. All he deserves. Rosie, the question that we ask all of our guests whenever they come onto our show is, how did you first discover or get into the Muppets?
It's just always been there for me. Yeah. When my cousin was quite little, my uncle we were at a family gathering and we were going to watch Muppet Family Christmas, and she expressed that she did not really want to do that. And he said, "You won't get very far in this family if you don't like the Muppets." And it's true. We've always been big Muppet fans. Muppet Treasure Island was a well-worn VHS. Muppet Christmas Carol is an integral part of the Fletcher family Christmas Eve. On Christmas Eve, we eat smoked salmon sandwiches, my mum makes mince pies, and we watch Muppet Christmas Carol. We had the VHS, so we also got a loo break when Love Is
Right,
Gone.
Rosie, we're not going
on.
to... Sorry, I didn't realize we were going to be contesting this today. Rosie hates the song When Love Is Gone.
I have come round to it in recent years.
It is a beautiful ballad sung by a sad lady in a bonnet. And Michael Caine on that little bridge crying when he's standing behind his former fiancée, and then she walks away and Rizzo is crying and Gonzo has to comfort him. It gets reprised at the end of the film.
Muppet Christmas Carol has become a further part of the annual Christmas celebrations because I go every year to the Prince Charles Cinema in Leicester Square to their sing-along Muppet Christmas Carol. And because they are only able to show the theatrical print, it doesn't have When Love Is Gone in it. But they always do an intro with the same guy dressed as Father Christmas. He doesn't know it, but he's really integral to my Christmas joy and spirit, this one man. And he is always dressed as Father Christmas, and he does this little intro and gets us to practice booing Scrooge. And then he says, but we have got a little treat for you. And they play what is quite clearly ripped from YouTube. That When Love Is Gone. But now I really like it, partly because I think that Lewis has compelling arguments, but also because I now always hear it with this guy's commentary of when she's trying to leave young Scrooge and he says, was it his eyebrows? And then the bit where Michael Caine forgets the words. So, that is important. But basically, I've always loved the Muppets. From being mildly terrified of Gonzo and also slightly freaked out by the Muppets, because I don't know if you had Disney videotapes in the 90s, but they would have Muppet moments at the end of them, which is that after the credits of the movie had run, you would get a segment from the Muppet Show. But I was really freaked out by the blank tape either side of the film on videotapes as a child.
Okay.
I was just really scared of them because you'd watch the movie and then it would just all go black, and then it would go black for a couple of seconds, and then a completely out of context Muppet Show sketch would happen, and then it would end, and then it would just go black again. So that was how I first experienced the Muppet Show itself.
I've never heard about that before. I don't think any of our
we still call after credit sequences Muppet moments. Even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, my dad will say, is there a Muppet moment?
Emma, do you remember any of our VHSs having Muppet moments at the end?
No, I don't think they did.
No, I don't remember either. And we had many Disney VHS. Maybe it's not to sound, maybe because of your sister, Rosie, maybe a slightly earlier release
entirely
of
plausible.
Disney VHSs, but...
We would have had Little Mermaid on the first video release, before it went in the vault.
Yeah, the first time it came out of the vault.
And then.
Oh, sorry, is that your bus you need to catch?
Sorry, I'm gonna go. I literally live at the business end of the busiest road in this area.
Oh, no.
According to the website that rates air pollution, I am in the top 1% of bad air in the country, baby.
Congratulations!
I'm gonna die.
You're already in Fury Road.
I know.
You may as well.
I'm just spraying silver paint on myself.
You're already clinging to the side of a Jeep and just swinging from side to side. So is this the first time, beyond the Muppet moments, is this the first time you've actually watched a full episode of The Muppet Show?
No, because when I was a student, I just used to buy DVDs all the time. They are of no use to me now. But it was around the time that The Muppet Show first came out on DVD, and I own Series 1 and 2. Have I watched all of them? Obviously not. But no. I've watched at least the first half of Series 1.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I think our interactions with the Muppets, I think we are all basically in the same age bracket. I'm going to know that I am the youngest. But our interaction with it is through the later theatrical films, and then maybe going back to watch a Muppets Take Manhattan or, a Great Muppet Caper if we so felt the urge. But the Muppet Show was a real blind spot for us.
Yeah.
And so sort of doing the show was us trying to kind of fill in the blanks for this, to sort of see the origins of this thing that, much like you said, was just has always been there, but weirdly we never saw the beginning of it. To that end, we should probably jump into this episode. Jade, why don't you kick us off with a little production information?
Yeah, let's jump in. So, this episode was originally broadcast on the 18th of November 1977, so 1 week before the Dom DeLuise episode we covered last week. It was written by Jerry Jewell, Joseph A. Bailey, Jim Henson, and Don Hinckley, and directed by Peter Harris. And Emma, I know I've said this before, but Bernadette Peters really does need no introduction. But please, we shall all just sit back and relax while you tell us about the many illustrious things that Miss Peters has achieved in her extensive career.
Yes, thanks, Jade. Yeah, so Bernadette Peters is an actress, a singer, a children's author from Queens, New York. She is a Broadway legend, and her career has spanned over 6 decades. She started off as a child star, and she got her first equity card at the age of 9, and she's never looked back. She has been on Broadway. She was closely associated, and still is, with Stephen Sondheim, and she was the original witch, played the original part of the witch in Into the Woods. She was the original Dot in Sunday in the Park with George, and Mabel in Mac and Mabel. She has been on so many things. During the sort of 60s and 70s, she did a lot of films and TV shows. The Muppet Show. She was on the Carol Burnett Show. She's done films including The Jerk, Pennies from Heaven, and Annie. And then in the 1980s, she returned to theatre. And she she basically became one of the best known Broadway stars over the next 3 decades. She's done albums, cast albums. She has been nominated for 3 Emmy Awards and 3 Golden Globe Awards. She's been nominated for 7 Tony Awards, and she's won 2. Basically, she's just a legend, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the youngest I think I've ever seen her in anything.
I didn't know she was ever this young. But also, weirdly, she still looks this young.
I was going to say...
That's what I said, Rosie. When I was researching her and I looked on her website, I was like, damn, how is this lady 74?
Literally, the first thing I wrote in my notes when she appeared on screen was Bernadette Peters looking like she will tomorrow, because the woman doesn't age.
An incredible combination of good skin, good bone structure, and just already having a very kind of like mature voice, which just simultaneously matures her and then makes her look younger, and it's like a weird old baby voice.
The weirdest thing just was seeing her blonde, because I'm so used to her with unnaturally red hair.
Yes. The only other thing I want to mention is I was trying to think if anybody hadn't been very familiar with Bernadette Peters, I was thinking one thing that did go around Twitter maybe like a year or a year and a half ago, she guested on, I think it was a show called Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, which I never saw, but she turns up in one episode and sings Sia's Cheap Thrills, and it is the campest thing. She turns up in a raincoat and like has a bottle of wine that she's hiding, and she just sings she's like, I love Cheap Thrills, and it's like, oh my god. So I would if nothing else, although you should be very aware of her, do go watch Bernadette Peters singing Cheap Thrills by Sia from whatever this bizarre American TV show was. It went around Twitter. It was very fun. Shall we jump into the episode?
Yes.
I mean, we go, as we do for the entire second season, into these cold opens backstage. All I can think is just, she looks like a doll. She just looks like, I don't know, just like a painted doll. I just kind of couldn't get over it. She
has dewy skin like no other dewy skin I've ever seen in my life. She's radiant, and I assume that was very, very good makeup, but nobody else looks like that on The Muppet Show. I am guessing she bought that with her.
That's makeup that covers you right to the back of the gallery. Like,
yes.
That is...
Yeah, I don't really associate The Muppet Show with guest stars looking glamorous and their absolute best. If you, on Disney Plus, the picture above for the, is it Don DeLuise episode? The still is him in like this ginger fright wig, like in the middle of something really stupid. And then the still for Bernadette Peters is like, what if a China doll won a Tony?
That is exactly what it is. The joke we get this week is Swedish chef delivering what appears to be it's a live chicken sandwich. It's definitely a step up from last week's sort of bizarre non sequitur. But all I could think was how good the bread bun looked, and I really wanted to take a bite, despite the fact there was a live Muppet chicken inside.
How hungry were you when you watched this episode, Lewis?
I'm always hungry. Actually, to be fair, as soon as that episode finished, I did pop out yesterday and I went to the Sainsbury's under the illusion of just going to buy a lemon so I could make myself a vodka martini. And then I ended up, the essentials.
Sorry, I just listened to your Bruce Forsyth episode, and in that you talk about making yourself a martini.
That's a coincidence. I hadn't had one for a little while. But then when I was there, I picked up one of those big bars of, the Tony's chocolate that's like very
Yes.
ethical but quite expensive. I ate the entire bar.
Lewis.
And that was just
In a martini?
yeah, I had a sugar coma and then washed it down with a vodka martini. All the food groups, and it was great. But then I looked at the back and I was like, that was just under 1,000 calories for that bar. I know, but it was really good.
So that's dinner.
Yeah, well, no, but I'd already had dinner, so that was the problem. Yeah. Although, actually saying that, when I was looking at that bun, I must have been hungry because I then wrote down in my notes, I've been eyeing up that Italian burger at McDonald's that they're doing a limited time offer on. So clearly I was really hungry when I watched this episode because I just, in my own notes, wrote, I've been eyeing up that Italian burger at McDonald's that I know they're only doing till the end of this month. So the time is running out. Oh, no.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
I have a comment on the theme tune. Okay, so I have seen and heard, obviously, the Muppet Show theme tune so many times. And I don't know whether it's because I was particularly watching it, but the first Muppets that walk on, that are the big suit Muppets, are some of the most haunted, rotted things I hated them. And I wrote that note, and then about 3 sketches later, they all turned up. But so Sweetums I don't mind, because his proportions, it's like Big Bird and Sweetums, their proportions are so odd and non-human. It's like a whole puppet.
Yeah.
But then it's the guys in the suits with the orange hands who are just really humanoid. I hate them so much, they will haunt my dreams.
Rosie, we have had to deal with so many, we've called them Muppet Men, through the first season and a half, where it's just a little, it's almost like something from Doctor Who, where the head is just a little bit too big and the hands are a little bit too big, and then the body is thin, and 1970s cocaine thin, and it's just really... Yeah, you're preaching to a choir that's long since.
Good.
Yeah, there are some haunting episodes of the Muppet Show. Emma, can you remember what was the episode with the dancing Muppet men and women in the background?
Oh, I think that was Charles Aznavour, wasn't it? And they didn't even have faces.
Rosie, it was like the Autons but made of felt or like sponge. It was really distressing, and they were just like dumbly dancing ballroom in the background.
I have watched a heck of a lot of videos about the history of theme park character costumes, and it really got into like in the 1960s they hadn't worked out how you did mascot costumes yet, so it was just like a guy.
It's the haunted Mickey and Minnie Ice Capades outfits.
Exactly, where you're like, that is a like broken down foam latex hat on just a skinny dancer's body.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're working with. You should, it's not dreaming.
Hate them.
Yeah.
It's the march they do. Ugh. Like really, like I genuinely wasn't just like, I'm not sure about that. I was like, and I watched the episode twice, and the second time I was like, no, not again.
Well, I feel like you need to sit in Statler and Waldorf's box with them then, because that button during this opening is Waldorf pulling Statler in and going, no, please don't make me watch it. Like, Rosie, that was clearly you as they were doing that.
Yeah.
And I also I assume everyone can probably hear that my voice sounds not great.
Jade's got the COVID.
I've got the COVID, everybody.
It's so bad she's even turned her screen off. We can't
nobody
even
wants
see
to
her.
see me. Nobody wants to see me right now. But the other note I did make at the start of this was when Gonzo's balloon didn't blow up, I was like, my nose has probably made that noise today at some point.
Oh, Jade.
It's fine. It's fine.
We're sending you good wishes, but also don't
Thank
touch
you.
us or come near us.
Yeah.
I haven't been near anybody other than Rich, and he's also... We tested positive at the same time, so we're in a
Oh,
little...
that's romantic. Is it romantic? I'm assuming that's your partner. I just
Yeah.
realised I've said that. I could be like, my brother.
My nemesis.
It's just the postman.
Well,
We're on first name terms.
Well, that's better than when I got COVID and Peter discovered it while he was down in Brighton. And he did a test down there and he was negative. And so then he had to come back and I had to put a bag outside in our hallway for him to pick up. And we talked through the doorway like we were David Tennant and Billy Piper at the end of season 2 of Doctor Who. And I was just quietly weeping on the other side. Yeah, exactly. And Peter was like, okay, bye. And I had a lovely week at our friend Emma's house, staying in their spare room while I just like stayed in my little box.
Did you ask him if he wanted to build a snowman?
No. No.
Yeah, no, thankfully, Rich is my partner. And yeah, we tested positive at the same time. So we are at least in a little COVID self-isolation bubble together. But yeah, I don't really get cabin fever that badly, but I am... If it lasts too much longer, I might start to experience it because...
We
yeah.
got
If only there
cabin
were a
fever.
Muppet.
Driving
Yeah.
us bananas.
Musical number for that. I feel like
I was
Lewis watched
dancing
my
in the
face
blue
have that
lagoon.
realization.
I did. I was like...
If I start hallucinating cabin fever, then we know I'm in big trouble.
Well, speaking of hallucinations, this number that opens up this episode, incredibly unexpected and confusing.
How could you believe me when I said I love you when you know I've been a liar all my life?
You've had that reputation since you were a youth. I must have been insane to think that you'd tell the truth.
But how could you believe me when I said we'd marry when you know I'd rather hang than have a wife?
I knew you said, I'll make you mine.
But who would know that you would go for that old line?
We get Kermit doing a duet with Miss Mousy, who is a character we've only seen, Rosie, for your benefit, once or twice before.
Okay, because I clicked on her name on Wikipedia expecting her to be like a long-running thing from seasons 1 and 2. No!
No, the last time we saw her prominently, she was tiny and in a teacup on Waldorf and Statler's balcony, and then she tipped off at the end. We presumed to her death. And now she's
No.
back, and she's Kermit.
She's
song.
back.
Yeah, like it made. No. Emma, do you know what this song was called?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a mouthful,
Yeah,
so
good
here
luck,
we go.
Emma.
It's,
Oh,
I know,
sorry.
good,
Emma, I
let's-
didn't mean to set you up. Emma has,
Lewis always
fine.
does this.
Emma has a bit of elocution. She didn't go to drama school.
I know, every time. Okay, are you ready? It's called How Could You Believe Me When I Said I Loved You When You Know I've Been a Liar All My Life?
Way!
It's like a Lana Del Rey song title. Like, Jonathan
So I
Meredith,
actually
Apartment
knew this
Business
song.
No, that was two different. I just picked that. Jonathan Meredith Music Business Conference. Why is this Miss Mousy?
So that you can have the runner with Miss Piggy. I think that's the primary reason for it being Miss Mousy, and I guess that they either didn't want it to be Janice, or maybe they knew that they couldn't reasonably have Janice as a foil for Miss Piggy and Kermit, because yeah, like no one would believe that, would they? I feel like that's the only reason that it's Miss Mousy at the start of this. I'm not going to say the huge long song title again, but because why else would it be her? And especially when you watch it and she does nothing.
Yeah.
Like, it's the most boring performance of a Muppet I think I've ever seen.
Like, he's in a tux and she's ready to go to bed in the 1800s. I mean, it's like maybe they wrote it to be Bernadette Peters, and then they thought, we can't have the running gag being Miss Piggy making people say Bernadette Peters is bad, because that's the only, like, I just could not. Who is she?
Yes.
Who is she?
Who is she?
Where did you find her?
Yeah, because this is like a banger of a musical number.
It is.
I love this song.
Me too. I'd never heard it before, and I wrote down, I love this song. This is immediately like, if I need to do a duet at some sort of cabaret, I was like,
I'm listening.
I know, Rosie. I wasn't going to say if Rosie and I have to do a number in a cabaret.
I mean, let's face it, I look great in a mob cap and a nightgown.
we're not going to dress you as Mrs. Tiggywinkle from like.
It's so Mrs. Like, who's this romantic rival? Oh, don't worry, it's old Nana Mousy.
Can I tell you some fun facts about the song and the
Always.
film that it's from? Okay. So this is from the film Royal Wedding, which was released in the UK as Wedding Bells.
This is the one where Fred Astaire dances on the ceiling.
Yes, it is. So
sorry, if that was your big thing, I just feel very excited.
well, there's one extra thing that's even bigger than that. But so it's Fred Astaire and Jane Powell that originally did the number, and the whole plot of Royal Wedding is actually around the Queen and Prince Philip's wedding, which is just mental.
Is it
I know,
really?
right? And also, very interestingly, MGM forgot to renew the rights to it, so this film is in the public domain.
It's a
which is-
charade, baby!
Yeah. So all of that's already very exciting, and you're like, wow, this is a lot. Then you find out that this is the film that Fred Astaire does You're All the World to Me, which is the one that goes round. And then you find out that this is actually the film that cancelled Judy Garland's contract with MGM because she was meant to be in it, kept only turning up for half days at rehearsal, and they were like, Judy, you're out. So, my God, is there a lot going on here? And we get to mention Judy Garland again. So that's great.
Are running. Yeah. Well, now I'm not so sure how I feel about this song.
I know, I was like, I'm on board. You mean they cancelled Jodie?
Yeah, I hate this song. Like, I hate Grace Kelly.
Absolutely mental. Like, I genuinely, when I was on the Wikipedia page, I was scribbling it down and I was like, there's more, there's more, there's more. Like, how many things do you want to get out of one
also,
film?
for a film that people don't really talk
Absolutely
about.
do not talk about
you
at all.
know.
No.
The only
Other
thing you
than-
ever see is that clip of Fred
Exactly.
Astaire, and it's usually in a
Exactly.
montage when they talk about, the magic of the movie.
Yes.
And you just see him clip-clop around. Yeah, they go, it's how they do Inception. It's just, yeah, I've never watched it, but now I'm intrigued. but
Well,
also
you
I
can watch
don't
it for
want
free. It's in the public
to.
domain.
It's in the public domain, baby!
And then you can recreate it, Lewis, and that's totally fine.
If I want to dance on the ceiling, Jade, I just have a couple more vodka martinis, and then it feels like I'm there.
Yeah, but I found this, other than the Miss Piggy runner, which we will obviously discuss more, but that I thoroughly enjoyed, I found this opening number really, really quite disappointing. Like, I just didn't understand the staging, or like, there is no chemistry between them. I mean, it's just Kermit bopping around and Miss Mousy, looking like she's about to get the Horlicks and go to bed.
And as much as I'm glad that it sets up, Piggy's running plot for this episode, if I was given the choice between Piggy is up in the box every so often booing and hitting, Waldorf or Statler to make them boo, I would have preferred to have just watched this song with Piggy and something else happen.
Yeah,
because it's not even
absolutely.
the main plot. We can get into what is the main plot in a moment, but yeah, and I use that in the loosest terms. Yeah, I just would have preferred, and it would have suited them both so well.
Yeah, because it's also weird the way Kermit at the beginning, like, it's such a low-key intro. He's like, I'm something of a song and dance man myself, so I'm going to sing a song. I was like, is this how we're opening the show?
Yeah. Yes, quite. We then move into what is I guess, a plot for this episode.
It's certainly a plot, yes.
Zing! Pew, 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 pew. And we are reintroduced to Robin, who, again, Jade, we have not seen since, I want to say, like, episode 6 of the first season.
I feel like it was episode 6 or 7. He was
Yeah.
halfway up the stairs. He obviously got stuck there.
Yeah, and they lost him. And
They lost him.
It's now well over a season later, and we are being reintroduced to Kermit's nephew. Rosie, we have not seen hide nor hair of him. I mean, part of the plot of them saying we never see him. Yeah, correct. We have not
It's
seen
like a weird meta. I assume because like this is a markdown for this episode. No Gonzo.
Yes.
And so I'd worked out that or Fozzie, you don't see every Muppet every week. I was like, oh well, obviously it's like a rotating cast as opposed to we put them up on the stairs for a year and a half.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. Emma, what were your thoughts on this plot that we had for this week?
Well, I mean, like you said, it was quite strange seeing Robin again since we've not seen him since, halfway through season 1.
Even if even half, like a quarter.
Even that, yeah. And then, I mean, I don't know. It was quite strange for the fact that we had this little startup bit where he was obviously, you found out that he was Kermit's nephew.
Again.
And he was obviously trying to get his attention because he wanted to perform on stage. And obviously Kermit's dealing with Sweetums and Fogg and Timmy Monster, like rushing back and forth, backstage before they go on. But it's kind of weird because as we discovered in the version that we've seen on Disney Plus, they actually cut out his main number. So it kind of doesn't really make a lot of sense, to be honest, like in terms of plot of what we end up actually seeing.
Yeah, I was trying to work out whether it was because they've cut 2 of his songs that it feels quite so much of a damp squib.
Yeah, they've cut 2 songs, and because they've cut the songs, they've also cut the final bit of the runner that ties up the story. So the bit that I thought maybe had been cut out as well was a section that wrapped up the Miss Piggy, Miss Mousy beef as well. But no, apparently that just dangles. Like, no one cares about that B plot.
If anything, I like that it keeps a rivalry going. Not that we're, again, going to see Miss Mousy again, but I do like the idea that Piggy is not a woman who helps other women. I kind of like that. Like, she's like,
yeah,
no.
I think I actually read that this is the last time we see Miss Mousy, so I don't know if Piggy kicked her out.
Yeah, but then I want to see that. I want to see Miss Piggy literally showing her the door and going like, "Bye, mouse."
No, she finishes the job. She pushes her over that balcony again and makes sure her neck is really broken this time.
Maybe she set a really elaborate trap.
What? I
think Miss Mousy just went to bed and maybe died peacefully in her sleep, given how she's dressed. At the end of the episode, actually, what they also cut was the card that came up and said, in memory
I
of
thought Miss Mousy died on the way back to
77.
her own planet.
This thing with Robin, this sketch where he's sitting in the floor, I did not like the way he was just on the floor, and you could tell that there was and I'm sorry, this is the only way I can describe it, a little glory hole for the hand to just sit on the floor. And it was like one of those boxes at a Halloween party where you can't see what it is and it's like a bowl of spaghetti. I could just imagine the way he's just sort of sat there, so he can't do anything and he can't interact with anyone.
Yeah. It's very rare that we get a shot where we do see the Muppets standing or sitting on the floor. But whenever that happens, it is a slightly alarm. You can't help but just be a little bit aware of somebody's hand is up there.
Yeah, if they're sitting on a table and even though that actually draws attention to it because the table is there to hide Frank Oz or something, I'm yep, makes perfect sense. If they put them on the floor, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
not what the Lord intended. The Lord being Lord Lou Grade of ITV,
and also the genuine fear of I did think Robin was just going to get trampled on.
A poor man's going to break his fingers.
Yeah, it did look pretty dicey in some parts.
It did. Oh God.
I guess that's why they done it like that, though, wasn't it? Because with Thog and Sweetums and Timmy Monster going by, you didn't even see their heads. You were just seeing their torsos and their legs, and I don't know. It was really really interesting framing. We've never really seen anything that before on the Muppet Show, and I feel they obviously wanted to make Robin just look as small as he possibly could. But yeah, it was. Yeah, when he was just on his own on the floor, it was bizarre. It was really really strange. I feel they could have cut it differently, so that you went maybe between a more of a close-up of Robin and then that wide of having them all go past him. Because then you wouldn't have been thinking oh, he's just like, and that would have
Yeah.
been more of a reveal as well to then cut out.
And he's such a scrunched up little shape anyway, because
He
he's
is.
basically, imagine Kermit the Frog's head with arms and legs. That, like, he looks a bit like a glove someone has dropped. Because he's all kind of like, maybe that's because I mainly view him as Tiny Tim. He's all a bit like...
Well, this is the thing. I've got to say, I did write down in my notes, Robin is only bearable as Tiny Tim.
Yeah, so I quite like him in Muppet Family Christmas.
Yes, fine. That's fine, because he's kind of like a bit
But this one,
infused.
he was like an annoying child. I was
Yeah.
like, nobody wants to hear you.
Like,
We have such talents as Miss Mousy.
yeah, please run up. Please do run away. Like, please. We thought you already had. Like, you haven't been here for a year.
Yeah, because Muppet Family Christmas, he's all like, "Yay, it's Christmas! I'm a little excited."
Cute.
Like,
A Fraggle
your nephew
Pebble.
here, and
Lovely.
yeah, not here. Can I ask?
Yes.
Did you know Thog and Timmy Monster's names anyway, or is it just because you read them today? Because you could have put a gun to my head. I would never have said those names.
Emma, how do we know their names?
Well, we kind of like researched because they showed up quite a lot in the first season,
Muppet
and
Men,
we
right.
remember them now. So yeah, you've got Fog, Timmy Monster, and obviously Sweetums. And then there's other kind of classic ones that are Mean Mama,
Yeah.
which she's kind of got the weird drawbridge
Mouth.
and I can't remember what's the other one. that eats
The
everything.
diner monster. What's he called?
So, yeah, Lunch Encounter Monster.
Yeah. Some of them are literally just named after the
sketch.
first sketch they
Yeah.
appeared in.
Yeah,
And
Dog
then it's
Lion.
via Muppet Wiki, to be honest, that we sort of
Yeah.
then know their names. They aren't really referred to as such in the show as that, but that is what they are now labeled as. Yeah. So only for the purposes of the podcast, rather than being like the big one, or the freaky one, or the big freaky one.
We'd be here forever if we had to just describe, like,
Yeah.
the intricacies of their fur and their ears. And,
Yeah. Well, we might as well go into the first Bernadette number that features all of these big freaky ones. Again, I never do the research before. Jade, what is the name of this song? I've also realised that I forgot to watch Robin's song, and it was only 50 seconds long.
I knew you wouldn't watch it. I should have put a bet on with Emma. I could be quids in at this point, although she probably wouldn't have taken the bet because she also knows you.
Look, I am the audience surrogate, baby. I'm the people who just watch it on Disney Plus, then come here for vibe.
Because going on YouTube takes such a long time, doesn't it?
I'm busy watching an hour and 50-minute documentaries on the Fast Pass. Like, I don't have time for a
Please do not tell me
50-second
you've
song.
watched that again this week.
No, I haven't. I've only watched it twice.
I watched it for the first time last week. It was genuinely incredible.
The twist!
There's a twist. How is there a twist?
In a documentary. It's insane, but I gasped. I gasped when I first watched it.
Did you gasp the second time too?
You know, the first time I watched it, I was on holiday in Barbados.
Yeah, you are digging
and
yourself
I took...
an even bigger hole here, Lewis. You couldn't watch 50 seconds of Robin, and then you go all the way to Barbados, and you watch a Fast Pass documentary, which, granted, is great.
90-minute
Yeah, exactly.
Fast Pass documentary.
Exactly. Oh,
I was
good
like,
Lord.
no, thank you. I will not sunbathe or go in the pool or the beach. I'm going to watch this documentary on YouTube about the people queuing.
Right.
Anyway, what's this song called?
This song is Take a Little One Step, but just before we get into it, I just want to flag that I loved that Miss Piggy again was straight out for the introduction for the song and was utterly petrified at the thought that Miss Mousy was coming back. And then the realisation that maybe Kermit was doing a duet with Bernadette Peters. I just love that she's clearly just hanging out in the wing, just inspecting every single little thing that's going on stage this week.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the line, sounds like Miss Mousy to me, was, I mean, she was just, this is my favourite kind of Piggy, when she's just really bitter and up herself. It's very relatable.
Also, it's quite unusual for the Muppet Show to, like, even use language like big, ugly, shaggy beasts, and then for Miss Piggy to double down on it. Like, it's just
I loved it.
amazing. But anyway, to get back to the song, so it's Take a Little One Step. It was originally from a musical called Lollipop.
Yeah.
And then it got co-opted into No No Nanette. We're back to No No Nanette.
Not No No Nanette!
It is! It is!
Is that Ethel Merman?
No, it was someone this season.
Oh, who was no, like some of these shows, some of these old Broadway shows are genuinely like,
I can only assume Jim Henson maybe had like 12 records that a maiden aunt left to him.
yeah.
And he was like, I've got a great idea. Let's plow through Act 2 of No Nanette. Or...
That's sometimes what it feels like.
Take a little 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Come a little closer, please. Like a rose that blows in every breeze. Take a little 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, then a little dip like this. Here's a step we can't afford to miss. And then you glide and you slide, keeping close to my side. Oh boy, let's go, boy, that music's tickling every toe, boy.
So, who's the green guy in this one? Because I hate him.
Emma, who is he?
Oh, okay. So Fog is the big sort of blue one that looks like a balloon shape.
Yeah.
And so Timmy Monster is the other one. And then obviously you've got Sweetums.
Yeah, he looks like Mr. Blobby had a child with a cannabis plant. He's rotted.
Oh.
I feel bad. He's called Timmy Monster. It's an adorable name, but I don't like his big white mouth. And I've never been like wildly keen on Sweetums, but after seeing some of these guys, I'm like a big Sweetums apologist. So I'm like, look at him. He's like a tiny puppet-shaped guy.
No, there is a reason Sweetums is the one who made it through to the 90s, and these freaks
Absolutely.
stayed in the 80s. Do you know what I mean? Like, these guys didn't survive. They didn't come through. There was a lot of, I wrote down Bonnie Langford energy in this.
I wrote ethereal Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
Vibes of Tallulah from Bugsy Malone.
Yeah. Definitely.
And also I put, wow, what is happening?
Yeah. Emma, I did say it gave, I also wrote down, oh my God, a stage frolic, which I was only thinking about because Emma and I went and saw Beauty and the Beast this week, and all we could remark upon was how good the lead actress who was playing Belle was. Very good at the musical lead stage frolic / whenever you have to run into a scene, but you can only do about 3 steps and then you have to stop, but you have to still give the speed and then a spin. And obviously Bernadette Peters is very adept at the stage frolic, where it's a very winsome but still slightly panicked run.
Yes, you have to lead with your shoulders while still holding them back.
Yes. It's very good.
Yeah, this is, so as I said, watched it twice. The first time on this episode, I was like, is this what the Muppet Show is? Because
sometimes it is.
I was both super impressed by just the amount of like, we're just doing a musical song here. And then with this one, I was like, I like the song, I like the number, but it's not feeling like really Muppety, despite there being like 3, the biggest Muppets you could get. I was like, oh, okay, so she's just like it's like
she's being accosted by these giant fuzzballs.
Yeah, like she could only film on a day when most of the other cast couldn't come in. They're like, oh, I'm really sorry, Kermit, Gonzo, Fozzie, Piggy. They're actually all on location today, so we've got you dancing with Thog and Timmy.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing that it's very strange when we first sort of started watching The Muppet Show, that it genuinely is quite often not the regular cast of Muppets that you expect now from a branding perspective. Sometimes you'll get an episode where, for example, in this one, Fozzie and Gonzo do literally nothing. And you get a Miss Mousy or Weird Muppet Men or these guys. And you're like, oh, this is just going to be the episode. Whereas now it would be almost insane to think of doing a Muppet show or property where you're not always seeing those incredibly familiar Muppets. It's part of the sort of interesting thing of watching this kind of almost origin of what the Muppets are and become as an entity, that you're like, who the hell are these people?
Yeah, and I guess I actually sort of knowing that now, apart from the fact I didn't like the B Team Muppets that much, don't have a problem with it. I guess it keeps it more fresh than it's like, oh, I see we're doing this sketch again. But yeah, it's just kind of slightly alarming when you think, here I am, I'm settling down with the gang, and Gonzo appears to not blow up a balloon, and then bye.
See you at the credits. Yeah.
I think, like, from our point of view, it's really strange because obviously we are expecting these major Muppets to always be there. But I guess, like, this is only the second season, other than really Kermit and Piggy and Fozzie to an extent. Like, a lot of them that we have come to know and love aren't actually that established yet. Like, Gonzo's only recently really become Gonzo. So they were still really working on their characters. And I think the other thing as well is that I think they did, because it's a variety show, I think they did try as much as possible to, like, match the right Muppet with the right kind of thing that they wanted to do with the star. So in this case, I guess they knew they wanted to get Bernadette Peters up and dancing around and frolicking.
So much frolicking. And the little 1, 2 step, 3 step. It was such a
really catchy
campy
tune.
little dance.
Yeah.
It's such a campy dance. I was like, I wanted to get up and do it.
You can't do that with Kermit because, you know, he can't do a 1, 2 step at the moment. Like, that's...
Yeah,
not
we're
without an
years off him
extensive
riding a
brief.
bicycle.
Exactly. So I think, like, they obviously were like, okay, we need to get the Muppety monsters out because we can get their legs in the frame.
Yeah,
and
that's a good point.
And I think they should have developed it more. But, like, they basically got to the first thought, which was, oh, she can be teaching them to dance, but because they're big Muppet monsters, it's not going well. And there should have been then, and then, but it never got to the
I think,
and
yeah,
then.
if it'd been like, why weren't they, like, in a dance studio?
Yeah.
Like, why are they just in a weird white, I don't know, abyss with a couple of trees? Like, if you had actually made Bernadette Peters, like, a dance teacher and trying to teach these, like, 3 big Muppets and they're in, like, you know, leotards or, like, headbands and they're trying to do a little 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Actually, that could have been, it just would have, you're right, grounded it a bit more. This one, you know, we too often seem to find ourselves in these weird kind of like nondescript abstract spaces with a bit of foliage.
It's like Bernadette Peters knew this song and dance, like she'd done it in one of her shows, and they were like, Bernie, can you do the 1 step, 2 step, and we'll just throw some Muppets in.
Or throw some Muppets at you.
Yeah.
We're just going to bundle you by 3 adult men in big Muppet outfits that are just going to accost you while you try and do this song.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you should say that, Rosie, because there was a point where she was doing, like, her steps, and you could see she was looking, and she was like, I can't complete what I need to do, and she was kind of like, there's Muppets in the way.
Yeah.
Do a little 1 week, 2 week COVID. Do a little leadership debate and audio quality.
I hope you sound better now.
I
hope I sound better now.
If I don't, I'm throwing myself off a bridge. Like, I'm just...
Oh no!
So, as you'll probably now have known from the introduction I had to record at the beginning of this episode, hello everyone, you've now joined us nearly 3 weeks later. Oh my god, we're like the mice from Babe. 3 weeks later. To pick up the rest of this episode of The Muppet Show and Muppetsational. In that time, we nearly burnt alive in 40-degree heat. Jade and Rosie both either continued to have or got COVID. We still don't know who the new leader of our country is going to be, but it's down to 2 terrible options. And Emma's camera has got so bad, she seems to be recording this week in a tub of Vaseline.
Yeah, it's all been going
not
on.
Even like the Vaseline on the lens of series 1 of Drag Race. It's the Vaseline that they use on the
Yeah, Emma has been submerged in a tub of Vaseline.
Maybe Emma actually melted in the 40-degree heat, and this is just the remnants of Emma that we are
it's just
seeing
a pair
at
of
this point.
glasses on a stick.
She's like that evil politician from the first X-Men movie that they just turn into a big blob. Yeah. Upsetting. So I'll just quickly check in with everybody and then we'll just get back to this. This is going to be such a bizarre listening experience. It's like we've done the world's shittest time capsule.
We dug it up 3 weeks later, and we're like, oh, this was just a sandwich, and now it's a mouldy sandwich.
I do feel like maybe amongst not Rosie, I'm not including you in this, but amongst the three of us, that is about our attention span. We'd do a time capsule, and 3 weeks later we'd be like, shall we dig it up now? I can't remember what I put in it.
Do you know, I did actually do an official Blue Peter time capsule. Yeah, that they released at the turn of the millennium. And I dug it up 12 years later on a break from uni rather than writing some of my dissertation. Because I did procrastinate excavation.
What was in it?
Some Pokemon cards, a Top of the Pops CD that I think Emma got free with Top of the Pops magazine that she did not want. And then there was a tape that we had recorded that on it had, I think, both me and Emma on it. I can't remember what Emma said, if anything. But on it, I said that I liked chocolate and The Simpsons and I wanted to be an actor. And I thought, wow.
Times change.
What development?
Oh, those are the days when you used to get like decent gifts with magazines.
Yeah. A whole CD.
How did I feel like more happened in 3 weeks than did in the 12 years that your time capsule was buried? Because
I feel like Lewis has fundamentally changed more in the 3 weeks than in
yeah,
his 12
because like
years.
I managed to come down with and recover from a plague in 3 weeks. Like I'm back to full health again, but in the middle I was distinctly not.
Yeah, Lewis age 7 or 8. In the year 2000 to Lewis age 20 seems not much had gone on apart from looking at maybe like men in films and going interesting, but then keeping that real quiet. Like that didn't go on tape.
Imagine if there'd been a very end bit of that tape where you had just gone, by the way.
Future Lewis, are you gay yet?
What a way to come out. Can you imagine coming out by a Blue Peter time capsule?
Let us know if you did.
Can you imagine? I would love that.
Right into BBC Wood Lane.
Playing the long game.
London W12 6. I think it was PA. I think we should probably get back into the episode because this has been so rude. This is us genuinely like rudely interrupting our listeners with a random bit of chat.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, we'll do the intro and then we'll get to the episode and we're like, surprise, guys, there's some weird intro in the middle of the episode.
This would be where we'd be also, if we had a sponsor, be chucking in our sponsored ad where we'd be doing some really terrible ad reads. Should we pretend that this incident was sponsored by Temper Mattress?
I was going to say, if you also have spent a lot of time in bed with a plague disease, you'll be really grateful for your Helix mattress.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be so thrilled to be associated with COVID.
Oh, I was going to say with my incompetence.
And that.
Yeah. While I recovered from the sheer embarrassment of not understanding how to set up a podcast 37 episodes in, I loved forgetting about it by using my HelloFresh. Use offer code IDIOT for 10% off your first order. Right. We must get back to the episode. Where were we?
I think the next thing we need to discuss, which I'm sure will not take very long, is Statler and Waldorf's notes on Bernadette Peters' number. And I'm pretty sure it's Statler saying he reserves judgment until the pig tells him what to say. And I thought Miss Piggy's Bernadette Peters you can like, it's the mouse you've gotta hate was hilarious.
It was so funny. I loved that. I love the fact that they were just like, what do we do? What do we do? And then she's like, no, it's fine. You can like her.
How has Miss Mousy had a longer run on this show than on the Muppet Show? How has she lasted 3 weeks of my life?
I can't believe I skipped it back far enough to listen to do a little 1-step, 2-step again, considering I'd only just gotten it out of my head. Like, the little earworm of just Bernadette Peters on her little, like, tippy toes going, do a little 1-step, 2-step. And I was like,
it's going to be in the head for the next 3 weeks for all of us again.
Yeah, it's back again. Something else that's also unbearable is Tiny Tim being such a whiny little guy.
It's
not Tiny Tim, it's Robin.
Yeah, we all know who Lewis means.
Oh my god! Sorry, because I wrote in my notes, Robin is only bearable as Tiny Tim. So I wish it was Tiny Tim. That would be better.
Yeah, what is the characterization here of the child frog?
Whiny.
It's so whiny.
It's really giving annoying child actor. They've really captured that, I suppose.
Yeah. I did love that in his little suitcase he does have a straw boater, and I was like, cool, I do connect with packing useless shit on a trip.
The little knitted flipper slippers.
The tiny flippers are so cute.
They were cute.
Literal props to the props team here, because they were like, we need this little throwaway gag, and somebody was like, don't worry, I will spend the week making miniature frog clothes.
I'm now just picturing a 1970s Rosie Fletcher, which is just you, but just, I don't know, in flares, just like knitting
Just me, but I'm in bell bottoms.
And probably also smoking, just going, fine. And you just get
casting on tiny flipper slippers.
Flippers.
Yeah, it's so, like, other than the very cute accessories he's packing, this bit, especially of the runner, is really just irritating. And then when he ends up in the box, you can't help but feel like, good, stay in there.
Leave him in there.
Like...
Yeah, you really don't want your
the suitcase in the river.
He's a frog, Lewis, he can swim.
Damn it!
You really don't want your characterization overshadowed by really cute tiny costumes.
No.
Like, Piggy would never stand for that. She'd be like, these are too adorable, get them out of my shot.
I want only clothes of the proletariat. Just kidding. I want greys and browns. Emma, what did you think of this little chicken piano number that we have that immediately follows Robin's annoying scene?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite funny to watch, and, you know, it's chickens playing a piano. Like, what else is there really to say?
It's chickens playing chopsticks. Like, I loved it. Like, this is just... This is what I come to the Muppet Show for. If it's not, like, full-on proper songs and sketches, then just a little quick... in out, but it's funny. Like, I like it.
I love it because it is the kind of idea that would, I feel, get like production noted out of existence really easily. So it'd be like, we got 45 seconds, and somebody would be like, we should make some chickens play chopsticks, and everyone goes, that's hilarious. And then you'd imagine the producers being like, why do the chickens play chopsticks? Like, how does this affect, like, can't we do this? I'm sorry, we have to like do some brand work instead. But on the Muppet Show, you can just be like, this is a really silly idea. Let's do it.
Keep it in.
Yeah, exactly. My love of really stupid humor just really is like so fed by this. But yeah, like, I mean, I love the proper musical bits. I love the really good comedy sketches. But sometimes I just want to see something stupid. And this was it.
Exactly.
I loved the slight kind of it felt very much the kind of thing that you could see sitting on a sort of Disney World boat ride that you would go past, and Walt Disney Imagineering would have 4 chickens just like hitting a little piano, and you'd go past and go, oh, what a funny little detail.
I mean, and this is like like, you can totally draw the line between that and the stuff that the Muppets were doing on YouTube in the last decade, where they'd be like,
yes,
it's Muppets singing Bohemian Rhapsody, or like the chickens in the Muppet movie doing Forget You. You just go, yeah, it's very YouTube, pre-YouTube. Like the idea of just a very short, silly sketch that you can just be like, yep, done.
Yeah.
just a quick sidebar about Forget You here. Rich has taken to listening to Absolute Radio Naughties in the car. Don't know if anyone's been listening to it, but you're pulling a face. It's like the bangers of the Naughties on the whole.
The face is because I associate decade stations with like
the elderly
50s and 60s.
Oh no, like we're way past like caring about that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
oh no, and I'm
Yeah.
and the idea of a station that just plays landfill indie is like perfect to me.
The idea of listening to the radio, like, what are we, like,
I know.
what?
Like, if you're only in the car for like 3 minutes, it's fine.
Yeah, I could listen to 6 minutes worth of a podcast in 3 minutes.
Anyhow, they played Forget You, and we were both just sat there like, you know, not really reacting, and then Rich just basically started clucking along as if he was a Muppet chicken to it, and then we just both did that the rest of the song, and it was fantastic. See, that's what you're missing out on if you don't listen to decade radio stations.
See, my version of that would have been Peter would have turned the radio on, that would have started, and then I would have just quietly reached over and turned the radio off, and we would have driven home in silence, like a very sad indie film.
But also like another elderly couple who like have bitterly hated each other for 50 years of their marriage at this point. Like, I feel like it's the same difference, Lewis. You know, you're just not clucking along like Muppet chickens.
Cluck you. Like, just clock off. From a pun as good as mine to a real... to a real...
Jeez.
I don't know, like, real... gum, shoe leather, cheap, literally, like, terrible. I think a very, very bad visit to a veterinarian's hospital. Apologies in advance, Emma, but why have we got to a point where we can no longer even think of animal puns, so we've just gone, I don't know, a shoe?
So is the premise that they always have, and forgive me for showing my Muppet Show ignorance, that they have an animal and they make lots of puns around that animal, but they've a season and a half in, run out of animals?
Yes, it's an improv game.
Okay, good, thank you. This is where we are. So it could be a block of cheese, or, you know, and we just, okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, you say it's a bad visit to veterinarian's hospital, but we do begin with Miss Piggy using tongue depressors to pretend to be a walrus and or vampire.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's a real highlight of the sketch for me.
I think it's all downhill from there, to be honest.
I was going to say, I think that's probably the best bit.
So it's an unfortunately strong opener for such a bad then sketch.
For what's to come.
Yeah, to be fair, it was nice. Rosie, usually when we cut to that opening, it's Miss Piggy huffing gas and air. Like, she just is usually like huffing it, and she like realizes she's being caught, and then like runs into the sketch. So to actually see her not, I don't know, abusing medical grade gas and air.
Don't you think she'd maybe already taken the gas and air, which was why she was acting a bit funny and doing the tongue depressor walrus/vampire? Like, I feel like maybe we'd missed a step this week.
Yeah.
She was already a step on.
Yeah.
Emma, what did you actually think though of these puns? Because I don't think I laughed at all the entire sketch, other than a chuckle at Miss Piggy at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, there were so many really bad shoe puns. We had it all. We had like arsenic and old lace. We had he'll never walk alone. We had like the leather outside is frightful. Jeez. There was a lot.
They're so bad because, like, arsenic and old lace, I understand they're making a joke about laces. Like, I get it. But arsenic and old lace, like, you have... The point of a pun is you have to have both halves, right? You have to have the shoe half, and then whatever you're saying that sounds like a shoe makes sense. So, like, you know, you could say something about, like, if he's dying and something about his soul, and you'd be like, I get it, because we were in a hospital situation, but they were then just like, and here's the name of a movie.
Okay, good, because I was genuinely having a bit of a breakdown, being like, I get the old lace, but what the hell does the arsenic bit have to do with a shoe? And I was like...
I think he says something about it being poisoned or something, so that he can then just say, like, and now here's the reference to the movie, arsenic and old lace.
Also... I tried to watch it on a plane once. I got about half an hour in, and even my tolerance with a long flight was like, pass.
It's not the best, to put it mildly.
Yeah. It was a real struggle. Like, Cary Grant's great, but I was just like, God, what the hell is happening? Like, and then like some crazy general turned up, and I was like, as they all want to do in, it seems, any movie from 1931 to, I don't know, 1946.
You can just say, don't worry, the Major's here now, and somebody can march in full military dress.
Back up to your room, Major. Like, I suppose that stretches even further. I guess it goes at least into 1964 with Mary Poppins with the crazy old sea captain on the roof. So, yeah, there's at least 2 decades of just crazy old men in military garb, like bursting into a room and just going. Like, it's just, yeah, unbearable. Don't bother with arsenic. And
I just want to point out with this veterinarian's hospital that at the end, the announcer does refer to Miss Piggy as Nurse Piggy again. So she obviously hasn't paid them off this week. She is back to Nurse Piggy. And I was like, okay, that's good. And it also shows that they did purposely put in Miss Piggy last week. So that's exciting.
Jade, I genuinely still so impressed by your catching that last week. It's beyond my capabilities. Even sober, which this is like a rarity for me that I'm doing this episode completely sober because I was so scared that I was going to screw this up in some way. If anything, now I know it's happening, I might just say that we all pause for 2 minutes while I go and get a
Jade's like, no.
The hell we are.
I've just got visions of you getting up and immediately pulling all your wires out and us just being like, Lewis!
Yeah. Even in a wireless effort. Oh, Jesus. Although saying I would quite like to get a drink, I do wish I'd had a very strong drink before
the shake of Arabe.
God. Oh.
King of the desert, wild and free. He's the bold cheek of Araby. Under the shadow of the palms, I sing to call him to my arms.
And I never thought I'd be saying, come back, Sex and the City 2. All is forgiven.
This was diabolical. And to think that it was the extra treat they put in for UK viewers.
What did we do that week to deserve this? That's what I want to know. Like, what?
Why the Lady Muppet got titties?
Muppet tits!
It's like Cats 2019, when you're like, why do some of these cats have human titties? Like, I don't like the way they're using clearly gay Muppet Uncle Deadly for this, like, queer villain, like, queer-coded villain thing. Didn't like that. Just didn't like Call Edward Said. There's a lot of Orientalism on screen.
Yeah, because when it started, I was briefly excited because it was going dun 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 dun, and I thought it was the song from Meet Me in St. Louis that Judy Garland and Margaret O'Brien sing there. Like,
yeah,
nope, like the Elephant Walk on a Cake or whatever it's called, and I was like, and then it immediately panned down, and there was a veil, and I was like, oh no, oh I guess maybe, and then she took off that veil, and there was some fuzzy Muppet titties, and I was like, oh no.
It was the fact that she spent the majority of the song with her chest as far out as it could possibly go and her head thrown further back than is humanly possible, even for a Muppet, let's be honest. Like, and the fact that this episode didn't have a warning before it. What have you got to do to get a warning in front of an episode of The Muppet Show? This is... Oh my God.
We've had some in the past for like inappropriate, culturally outdated.
Which this is.
Or even just smoking. Yeah. And then in this, they're like, da 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 da.
Like, this is culturally inappropriate, like culturally insensitive and weirdly sexy, but that's fine because Kermit the Frog's not smoking a cigar before.
Unbelievable.
This would be where we need to cut in the clip of, do you think this is okay for the kids in the audience? Nah, that's all right. This is culture.
This is not culture. This is, just him going, we've got to fill the extra time for the UK broadcast. Does anyone have any weirdly upsetting sexual Orientalist sketches to hand?
And then just one upsetting new puppeteer just holds up a big-titted Muppet going, I have an idea.
This is the other thing. It's Dave Goelz puppeteering her. And, like, I don't know, did he just feel like completely let loose because he wasn't doing Gonzo and he had a woman?
Famously such a restrained character.
Obviously not, but this is like unhinged, isn't it, compared to like what Gonzo gets up to?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's
also not even just like, oh, I don't like it because it's weirdly sexy and Orientalist, but also it's like, it's not
no,
good.
it's terrible.
Not to be like, and I'd forgive it if it were, but...
Look, we've all sat down and watched The King and I once. Actually, Rosie, you and I did go and see it again.
We did, but you go, okay, well, chalk it up to as of its time, but, there was a nice little song and dance routine, instead of just like, well, this was a bad little song and dance routine.
I didn't also understand why suddenly near the end she got flung off camera and was suddenly crashing into stuff. Like, what? Like, why have you suddenly decided that this, quite frankly, terrible song, but, they weren't doing it in a particularly, like, oh, it's all going wrong way, and then suddenly it becomes, oh, I'm a goofy Muppet. Like, what? No, it doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever.
I love that on the Muppet Wiki, the Shake's wife character, Muppet, has her own page.
Of course.
She's a link, and you click on that, and it's like, she's in this sketch, and she's seen in the audience in another one. I'm like, I don't know if you needed to make that page, but like the idea that they're like, we've got to catalogue all the Muppets, and we've got to make sure we include the Shake's wife. Oi!
They do. They have to. Like, it's a very completist organisation. They are very, they are an incredible resource. But yes, it does mean that some poor person did once have to sit there and get a screen grab of a big-titted Muppet and like build that little, do the code to be like, no.
It's so bad.
No. The only other thing I could think of is, Emma, in Music and Lyrics, where there's that young pop starlet who she decides to do a version of Way Back Into Love, and it's just her going like, way back into love. And Drew Barrymore's like, what, you thought that was good? That, like, orgasming to the Gandhi soundtrack? And that's all I could think of it. Any excuse to bring up Music and Lyrics, which I think is a very unappreciated
Absolutely.
2000s rom-com. It's very good. Why would there be a clown above your bed?
So we go from that absolute, like, obscene madness to Sam the Eagle with his little fable, The Ant and the Grasshopper. And I loved this because I love the fact that he came on all serious and was like, right, here we go. This is going to be a moral tale for you all. Sets it all up. We see the ant and the grasshopper. And we're like, okay, where is this going? And he's like, the grasshopper is lazy and shocking. The ant is like doing loads of toil and labour and go ant. And then it kind of ends and someone's basically changed the ending of his story. And he says the ant gets stepped on and then the grasshopper goes in a like fast car to Florida. And then that's the end.
I really loved his reactions to telling the story, but then commenting on it himself. Like when he was like, "Ooh, the ant is a wonderful character," and then like he can't help himself but call the grasshopper like lazy and pleasure loving, and it's like it's just so Sam the Eagle. It's so good. I love it.
My favourite was complimenting the very
winter,
swift scene change.
Yes,
very nice,
very nice. It was just something.
Yeah, I wrote that as well. It was like winter came, and he was like, very nice.
I really enjoyed it. The one thing that I just sort of questioned was when that foot came down on the ant, it was so Terry Gilliam that I was a bit like, yeah. But that's like,
just because it put you in mind of Monty Python or Terry Gilliam.
Well, yeah, because like that's such a like classic. I mean, it's a Python thing, but it's such a classic like Terry Gilliam thing that I was just a bit like, oh, I wish you hadn't done that, because I just, like, yeah. I've sat in front of him in a cinema before and that was equally not very nice. Just don't really like him as a person. Yeah, but I did enjoy it, like, because I think it's another use of Sam the Eagle that makes sense, that he would want to be telling an Aesop fable. Like, that's what he wants to do, and that it's been thwarted because behind his back they've changed it so it's a different ending.
I guess so. I think I was a little bit less keen on this. I really love Sam the Eagle. And I think I kind of like him when he's... I don't know, more hoisted by his own petard, if you know what I mean, if he's making a speech on, like, moral failings, rather than this kind of very sedate kind of fable, and then, I don't know, just because I didn't feel like the twist and the reveal was good enough, because he's just reading it out of a book and then it happens, whereas if he's trying to do a speech and keep things on track and everything's going wrong behind him, it didn't quite land for me as I wanted it to. Like, I did like the little grasshopper mini puppet. I thought he was very cute. And there was a little moment where Sam passed judgment on the little grasshopper, and he like turned around and looked at him and then like bobbled off a bit more. But it just didn't quite fully land for me, this one, because I love Sam the Eagle. I think I love him more when he's just giving like little asides or just like in full judgment mode. Yeah, this just didn't quite work for me, this one.
Rosie, how did you find it?
So mainly I was having flashbacks to my year 6 end of year play, in which we presented this fable in French, and I was the ant, and for my little antennae I had, you know, those black plastic things you used to bind paper where it's got all the little holes in it and it flips through. I had 2 of those attached to my head to be little ant antennae. I found it humiliating to be a French ant.
La ant.
So mainly I was thinking about that. I have to say I liked it. There's something about the way Sam, he loves things going well and properly so much that he often, like the fact that he does these little asides where he goes, very nice, like technically isn't then taking away from the fact that he's doing this presentation, but he likes things going well so much. Yeah. Or like he thinks things done properly so much that he then doesn't do things like, I don't know, he has this like meta commentary on you know, I've been meaning to fix that shelf. There's something about he can't just stand there and like, he's always thinking beyond the situation. There's like this meta thing of him being like, not only do I want to do this, but I have to tell everybody that it's going well. And I find that really charming, that it's not just this straightforward thing, but it's like, yeah, very good, you know.
It's the Muppet Family Christmas, is nothing sacred.
Yes. Like he's kind of like, obviously he's kind of a terrible stick in the mud, and yet I really like him. And it's not just because it's funny, but because there's something like when he really likes things when they're done properly, and you're like, I mean, I have to agree. The fact that he kind of like will be muttering these asides about like how the situation is going at hand. That is incredibly charming.
He is. I do love Sam the Eagle. I don't know. I think I always turn off at a fable.
I think the problem is that the change is in his book. So it's like, you don't see somebody like drop the paper. He's reading cards and the cards get dropped and he gets the wrong card. Or you see somebody give him, like, why does he not know that's going to happen? I mean, I didn't mind it because I was just so like, okay, that's weird, I guess. And it's not too, then like, they get the change, you know, he drives off Florida and gets squished, and you get Sam being angry about it or perturbed. But it's not then like, then you get the second half of the sketch where it's like, oh no, this isn't what I wanted. They're pretty in and out with that, so I found it okay. But yeah, you do go like, what is this copy of Aesop's Fables he's reading?
Yeah, like why didn't the grasshopper actor like instead just
Richard
drive
Hunt.
on? No, I mean
the in-world.
I mean in the reality. Stay with me here. The actor Grasshopper, who is playing Grasshopper, why did he not like just
Grasshopper as Grasshopper?
Yeah, exactly, as himself. Drive on in his little convertible and say, "I'm not dying. I'm going to Florida," and then he drives off. And then the ant actor playing Ant walks on, going, "I can't believe I spent weeks and weeks learning my part," and blah. And then he gets squished, and then Sam has to then try and recover it, going, well, I guess that sometimes work doesn't, you know, like work doesn't pay, and then people can just do what they want, and we need to cut this, get it done, and then you like close a curtain or something. Like, I don't know, I think that's kind of just what I wanted more, rather than just and then he went to Florida, like, just...
No, I know what you mean. Like, I think there was something that was a little bit off.
It just needed another go.
I'd say it needs a second pass, this script.
Yeah. It was quite funny, though, that he then ended up in Statler and Waldorf's box as well to tell them off. And then they're just getting harassed by Frank Oz characters this evening. Like, it's pretty funny.
So from Grasshopper to Bernadette getting ready for whatever her next act or number is, taking a child, telling her they're going to run away, very much in her stride. Just, oh, why are you running away? Yeah, a very Trixie Mattel energy in that moment where she's just like, oh, just. He really didn't mind at all that, like, much like the rest of us who had either not noticed that Robin had been gone or didn't care, was just like, oh, why are you running away?
She's not bothered. She doesn't care.
Yeah, she's just there. She's this week's guest. She's not getting involved. You know, if he wants to run away, he can run away.
Yeah, she's like, oh, I'm sorry you're running away, Roger. Just goes back to brushing her hair. Goodbye, Robert.
I really liked this song, Just One Person.
It was so sweet.
It's so cute. It's so cute.
It's beautiful.
All the way through, I'd been like, this damn baby frog, like, what is whinging? And then it was, like, incredibly moving the way she, you know, she said, you know, just one person, and then a couple more Muppets come in, and then the room is full of, it's like the end of flipping Christmas Carol, Muppets as far as the eye can see, all singing and saying... You know, if there were 100 people in the room and 99 people... 99 Muppets,
if there are 100 Muppets in the room and 99 of them don't believe in you, you only need just one person to believe in you, sung by Bernadette Peters.
Robin, you've got to believe in yourself. Huh? If just one person believes in you, deep enough and strong enough, believes in you, hard enough and long enough, before you knew it, someone else would think, if he can do it, I can do it. Making it two whole people who believe in you. Deep enough and strong enough, believe in you. Hard enough and long enough, there's bound to be some other person who believes in making it a threesome. Making it three.
It's such a nice Muppety kind of song and message, though, isn't it? And
it is a Muppet original song.
No, it's not a Muppet original song. It's from Snoopy, the musical.
Not?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. But it did.
Really?
Yeah, really. Really.
From, as in, just from like one of the Snoopy cartoons?
No, it's from a stage show that was called Snoopy, ! The musical.
But not your Man Charlie.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because
Once again, I'd say, what LPs did Jim Henson have? Well, this was a brand new show,
so I think this show was like probably on still at the point that like they were doing this. So, and
I see.
I realised for everyone listening, this is not 3 weeks ago, but just to say that in our first recording, you obviously made that point about the LPs. I think it's more that Jim Henson was just a massive Broadway fan. Like, he went to the theatre constantly and saw everything. So all of these like random shows that now we're like, what the hell is No Nanette or whatever, like he probably had been several times because he just went to everything.
He even went and saw Yes, Yvette, the sequel.
I love Hannah Gadsby.
Yeah, so this was from Snoopy the musical, but then they did it with Bernadette Peters. Was it?
I just shouted the word Snoopsicle. So apparently I have had a drink. I don't know.
But yeah, so then it's become like a Muppet / Sesame Street standard. They've done it a lot of times. They did it at the Jim Henson Memorial, and they also did it at the Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson as well. And Elmo's done it, and I think Big Bird's done it, and everyone's done it. Like, it's just a classic Muppet family tune.
Rosie, the Jim Henson Memorial is the longest
bangers.
Yeah, like the long.
Oh no, I'm aware of its work.
But I don't think I quite realised it's a long, like,
And they hadn't even written Muppet Treasure Island by then, so imagine the songs they weren't singing. And also, will you sing Professional Pirate at my funeral?
I literally like Jenna Maroney just pull a handheld mic out of my clutch purse and then just start singing around your coffin.
Or at
don't
your
have to wear
wedding,
a
could we
suit.
do Love Letters Here, but you and me do it? So
As our corpses? Just,
No, at your
or am I
wedding.
attached to your
No, I'm
corpse?
saying at a wedding. I love the idea that at a wedding, I for some reason sing a song with one of the grooms. We sing a duet.
I'm so... Excuse me, Peter. One moment.
Right, sorry. So they do this at the 24-hour Jim Henson-a-thon memorial.
Yeah, they did it there, and they did it for the Muppets Celebrate Jim Henson as well, which was the special of I'm sure you've probably all seen the clips where they get the letter to say that Jim Henson's passed away, and the Muppets are like, we don't know him, we wanted to get to know him, and it's like absolutely devastating.
I mean, we only joke about the length of the Jim Henson Memorial only so we don't actually think about how sad the Jim Henson Memorial
Yeah,
is.
because it's just so sad.
Oh, yeah. It's like, a Big Bird trying to understand why Mr. Hopper isn't coming back.
And then just Big Bird singing It's Not That Easy Being Green, and you can hear Carol Spinney crying inside Big Bird, and it's just like, oh god. Like, imagine actually being at that memorial. You'd be so dehydrated from tears by the end. Like, you would be like, people were collapsing.
They'd be able to wring out the suit afterwards, and then somebody would see you, and it would look like you were throttling Big Bird. Oh, good times.
Someone's choking that bird to death. Just...
Birding the bird to death.
Birds.
You've already brought the mood back up, but just to bring the mood back up slightly, did anyone else question what the hell Robin was meant to be on before Bernadette Peters scooped him up and put him on the table at the start of this? Because
when you just have to not think about what the Muppets are standing
he was
on.
clearly hovering.
Maybe the table had a drawer and he was in the drawer.
Maybe he was sitting on a little compact or something.
There was nothing. And then she scooped him up and put him on the table, and I was like,
and then when you look at the picture of when they're all, which I am doing right now, as you can see the way I've leaned in, is that the when they're all in there, like, don't think about how Miss Mousie's legs are like 3 feet long.
Yeah.
Like
Miss
like a
suddenly
flamingo.
grown.
She's a horrible bird-mouse hybrid. She just rises up on horrible Muppet legs. And you're like, hang on, but if you're that tall and he's wearing a suit, so he's got legs, but you're a mouse.
Well, it's like that sort of, the whimsy of watching, Kermit or any of the Muppets ride a bicycle. And you go, oh, what whimsy. And then you'll see them later on in the Muppet movie, like, standing on the floor, and you're like, but 15 minutes ago, you were shoulder height with these people, and now you're like at crotch level, like looking up at them in a little cowboy outfit, being like, hey.
Yeah, when they've got the human dressed as Miss Piggy on roller skates.
Oh,
shot from afar.
Not
Chasing
far
down
enough.
Gregory Hines.
They needed Emma's camera.
Yeah.
Emma, seriously, at this point, it's like you're just like.
It's like you're in Back to the Future.
Yeah,
and your photo is dissolving.
You've given your your past self the sports almanac, and now you're just like fading into like.
You're dealing with the consequences of that.
If there was anybody on this podcast who would be least likely to be Biff Tannen, it would be Emma. Like there is no, I'm trying to think who, if anybody, ever would be in Back to the Future. And I keep thinking maybe like Einstein the dog, only because it's like unwittingly put into the time machine but is brought back and then put in like suspended animation, and then like the dog's fine.
I would be when Michael J. Fox is dressed as a girl to play his daughter.
Oh my god. Mom, is that you?
But anyway, Just One Person is adorable.
Really nice.
It's so sweet. It's so cute. I was so excited when they all kept coming out with the 1 person, 2 person, 3 person. Like, it's just adorable.
Here's a little person.
She loves counting.
To a little Muppet, 2 pit, 3 pit.
Okay.
And he looked so happy at the end when she kissed him. Like, I don't think I've ever seen any of the Muppets ever look as happy as Robin looked then. He looked like he was just like, I wrote elated.
I don't know. You've forgotten the lust between Animal and Rita Moreno. Like,
no, but that
wasn't
was
like
pure
a friendly kiss.
like
They
sexual
were gonna
energy.
fuck.
Yeah,
like that was
exactly.
like not like an if, but a when. Like it's just
2 seconds time. Lewis.
I love in a non-sexual way when Muppets like get a little peck from a human and they're like, and it's like a very, very chaste, romantic, like childlike thing that I find that extremely adorable when they interact.
This was not that.
Yeah, this was from the sounds of it. Hoi.
Like, if anything, it's so good. I kind of wish, in the 2019 West Side Story, where you have Rita Moreno playing like Doc's wife, I kind of wish in the one photoshopped picture they had, Doc was just like an elderly looking animal, just like
Oh my god.
with no further explanation. Just maybe then in the background we just have one jet or shark who's also a Muppet, and like, and nobody mentions it the entire time, and it's all just done completely straight, except there's just one little Muppet at the back just going.
And maybe Ansel Elgort's like learnt to play the drums really well or something too.
Oh my god, that's what we need to do. We just replace Ansel Elgort, and they just put in a Muppet.
It's just
like,
a Muppet.
Just like one of the generic like person Muppets that you get like on Sesame Street.
Yeah. Oh god.
You okay,
Sorry.
Lewis?
I don't know. I just can really clearly picture like an old happy animal just standing outside his shop with a photoshopped Rita Moreno. And just nobody questions it at all. Like, she clutches a picture of him and everybody's like, yep, that was Doc. Oh, gang warfare.
I'm not gonna go and watch the Rita Moreno episode, obviously, but like, take a damn flannel with me.
It's very good.
Rita's episode's great. Yeah, you will definitely need
it's
something nice and cooling by the end of it.
yeah.
So in the next sketch, am I allowed to
Yeah.
suggest just to
Go.
start?
Go, Rosie. She's like, this conversation's over.
I'm
On to
bored
the
of
next.
talking about this.
Look, you have 10 years of podcast experience. You know how to move that.
It's true. I've done live radio.
We've all sworn on student radio. Oh no, you've done real radio. I've only done student radio.
They don't let you just talk about Rita Moreno like an animal on radio before. Sorry, you said swearing, so.
They're lost.
My main takeaway from this little Swedish chef sketch was how much the chicken puppets have come along in the last decades, because some of these chickens were a little baggy around the head, and Camilla would never.
This chicken did look particularly strange to me. The
Okay.
eye placement was really
Yeah.
weird.
I'm glad, because
Yeah.
this one really was like, this is wrong, and then when I
Yeah.
rewatched it, the chopsticks chickens were more
Yeah, they're normal, those ones.
chickeny.
Without sounding too grim, do you think there's maybe some sort of thing in the Muppet world where the chickens that have brighter eyes and show promise and can play the piano live, and the ones that don't are killed and turned into sandwiches that you then serve to Bernadette Peters at the opening of this episode? They're like, it's kind of like a Huxley like Brave New Bark New World.
It makes me think of the episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine where they go back and they're all blue screened into a original series episode, but the Klingons in the original series had very different prosthetics. And at one point, one of them just looks at Worf, who's on the like modern Klingons, and says, "So what happened?" And he says, "We don't like to talk about it." That's what I think happened to the Muppet chickens.
We don't like to talk about it. We ate them. We ate them all. Yeah, this is, I mean, Emma, thoughts on this Swedish chef sketch? Like, did you like it? Did you not? How did it rate compared to, others that we've had of its ilk?
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. It was kind of like short and sweet. It probably wasn't one of the best that we've seen over the two series. Like, some of the ones, especially in like series 1, were pretty kind of out there and crazy, whereas an exploding chicken is kind of like here nor there at this point with Swedish Chef.
Yeah, I kind of like it more when he has a firearm rather than the thing just exploding. Like, Swedish Chef just like shooting ingredients out of the sky is pretty good.
I was a bit like, okay, this is fine, like, whatever, until I found out that the title of the sketch is Bomb. egg. And then I just thought that was hilarious. Like, why is it just called Bomb Egg? Like, that is just...
Hours they spent on that.
Yeah, most of the titles are sort of vaguely... I mean, they're not like puns or anything, but they're like, oh,
yeah,
okay, yeah,
when
that's fine.
egg bomb is right there.
Yeah, bomb,
egg bomb, egg bomb.
Egg-splosion.
Yeah, right.
Egg-splosion.
It's just...
Oh, you know what we should just call it?
Bomb egg.
Yeah, that'll do.
From the people
Yeah.
that brought you the shoe sketch in Veterinarian's Hospital.
Exactly.
Bomb egg.
It's bomb egg.
Yeah.
However, I can't judge these writers too harshly because they've brought my...
Hold on, before we do that, this is where a bit of backstage is missing, so we just need to cover that.
Oh yeah.
You still haven't watched it, have you?
Oh my god.
I knew you wouldn't have.
We had 3 weeks.
Yep, we did.
And I forgot, and it was 50 seconds long. I didn't watch it again.
I'd just like to remind you, I contracted and recovered from a pandemic disease in that time, Lewis, but sure, don't watch your 50-second YouTube clip. I have to turn the light on. I'm beginning to look like the demon from The Exorcist.
Oh yeah, please do.
The Exorcist. Okay, well, I'll just stay quiet during this next discussion. Then I'll just sit here quiet.
It's not probably going to be much of a discussion. I just wanted to say that so after Swedish Chef and before Muppet Labs, this is where you get the bit of backstage story that's missing, which is basically Robin saying that he wants to do the song They Call the Wind Maria, from Paint Your Wagon. Yep.
It's called what?
They call... Lewis, this is terrible.
How's that the bit that's got to you from this episode? We just had bomb egg and you can't get the bit.
Bomb
They
egg.
call the wind. Also,
They call the wind. That sounds like the most stupid, fictional, non-existent musical song.
I have to say, Paint Your Wagon always sounds to me like a musical that I understand exists, but I think only exists as the name of a musical one would say. Like, I don't believe the show exists.
Yeah,
it's a
very much
punchline.
in the no,
Yes.
yes event.
Well, he was
school.
back in high school. I was the lead in Paint Your Wagon, you know.
She was Kinky Boots. Oh my god.
Okay,
Sorry. Oh, that's just like, you know, the episode of The Good Life where Margot's in the musical theatre society and they're doing the Sound of Music and they don't let you actually see the performance, but Jerry, Tom and Barbara come home and Felicity Kendall asks, why did Margot start singing Maria? Like, well, that's her character's name. Isn't that from West Side Story?
Mrs. Dooms Patterson.
Aren't there supposed to be Edelweiss? See, I told you, Barbara's noticed. Oh my god. Right, okay, now I'll shut up and you guys can talk about this stupid song.
well, so Robin asked to do They Call the Wind Maria. Kermit tells him no, and he threatens to call Robin's dad. And then I think they sort of leave it that Robin is going to do a song, but he's going to do another song, which is I'm 5, which he then does after the Muppet Labs sketch. So for those of us who have watched it...
Oh, God. Sorry, I started laughing because I've just found out what the name of the album is that I'm 5 is originally on. It's called...
What's it from?
Mommy, give me a drink of water. I was like, what musical's I'm 5 from? No. It's...
Is that the Danny Kaye album?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yeah.
And was included. Oh God! And Barbara Streisand recorded it as well.
Yeah, loads of people have done I'm 5. Yeah, so you can get to I'm 5 in a minute after Muppet Labs if Lewis can.
Well, I also haven't watched that either.
What? Well, you've watched Muppet Labs.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, yeah, of course I've watched Muppet Labs because my son is back again for the first time this season since his introduction. Oh. He's still mostly silent, bless him, apart from a couple of meeps. But I love him so much, and there's just so much character in him already. Just like the way his little nervous hands go, and the way he just takes off his little, his own little Dom DeLuise fright wig that apparently he has made an active choice to commit to, and then his little like look off camera to be like, I don't know. And then, I mean, the only thing that didn't quite work in the puppeteering for me was the part when Beaker is meant to be drinking this Bunsonium, and by an unfortunate like combination of the camera and the straw, it does just look like he's doing like a fat line of whatever is in this like Bunsonium. Instead, he's going like, and then his like face collapses. And I was like, this is what they did. Like, this is your body on drugs.
And what it actually is the puppeteer slowly removing their hand.
So I think it's actually a different.
It's a different
okay, because
puppet,
I
isn't it?
wasn't.
Yeah, they do a cut because it doesn't have the mouth flap.
Yeah.
I didn't get Beaker for the first like 27 years of my life. Did not really care for him. Found him a little
Rosie,
weird.
how have we been friends? I am Beaker.
But then I went to sing along a Muppet Christmas Carol, and you got to sing along, but also there are a couple of lines you got to shout, like how would the bookkeepers like to find themselves suddenly unemployed, and then there was the everybody coughed along with Tiny Tim. And then...
Was that 2020 by any chance?
Yeah, maybe they weren't joining in. But then it was when I realised people were doing me, 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 moo, along with... That is an exact line. That's not just a meep, meep. He has that exact line in Muppet Christmas Carol.
It's Mr. Scrooge, I presume.
And everyone did that. And I was like, oh, I think I understand Beaker. And then he gave his red scarf to Scrooge, and my dad cries every year. And I was like, this is the greatest Muppet. And he doesn't have
Oh my god, maybe one Christmas I just turn up with a like an orange nose and my hair like all scrunched up, and I just hand your dad a scarf and just go meow meow meow.
Oh, he'd dissolve into...
We can make that happen.
I've got big glasses and small eyes. I can be Bunsen.
Like, why? What's Ronnie Barker doing here? Ronnie Barker and Beaker.
I have to say, it's a lot better when if you did have, they call the wind Maria, or whatever goddamn song is, because otherwise you go from bomb egg straight to deflate head, and there's quite like, I feel like I wouldn't schedule Swedish Chef right next to Muppet Labs or whatever they're called.
Like, if you like chaos, you'll love chaos.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, well, we'll put a little bit of the baby frog in the middle.
Yeah, I think, like, I mean, it would be better to have it broken up. And the fact that you go from bomb egg into Bunsonium into Muppet Newsflash, which is just simply the... I know
we'll get to it. Well, you'll get to it after I'm fine, but I did love that Muppet Newsflash. That was great.
But it's pure Muppet chaos.
Yeah,
like unfiltered.
Yeah,
this is Chaos Muppets Wonder.
Yeah. I agree with everything you said, Lewis, about Beaker. Like, there's so much character there, and the way that he kept like batting the Bunsonium back and forth, and the drumming the fingers on the table, and he was like sighing, and it was just perfect. Like, Richard Hunt has already got the character completely spot on. This is literally the second time we've met Beaker. It's crazy to me that it's so great just straight off the bat. Like,
and I love him.
He's fully there. It's amazing. I was a little bit concerned about the let's find a bicycle pump ending. Like, is that genuinely, like, if Beaker's a bit down, does Dr. Bunsen just like pump him up a little bit with a bicycle pump? Like, it's just a visual. Look, I wasn't prepared for.
I'm hurtling towards 30 in the next few weeks. Whatever's gonna keep this fresh and whatever, like, you know, if we just get a little bicycle pump in there, it'll be fine.
That's fine. You can do the bicycle pump, okay?
Filled with Botox.
No, just the bicycle pump filled with air.
One Nicole Kidman, please, and I just go.
No.
Fill her up. Look, she goes to that place for magic. By which I mean injectables, doctor.
Yeah.
Not AMC theatres. Okay, so do you kids want to talk about I'm 5 from Give Me a Drink of Water, Mama, or whatever it was?
It's not that aggressive.
What was it? Sorry.
I don't know. Mommy, give me a drink of water. Not happy about having
So
said
it wasn't that different.
So this one we couldn't watch at all, I think. Is this the one that they just don't have?
So I'm 5 isn't in the episode, but it is on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm 5. I'm 5. I'm a big frog now. I'm 5. I can dress myself. I don't need Mum to help me anymore. And when I sit in my father's chair, my feet can reach the floor. Almost. I'm 5. I'm 5. I'm a big frog now. I'm 5. My mother doesn't spank me just for going without a hat. She knows darn well I'd run away 'cause I'm too old for that. What does she think? I'm 3? Not me. What does she think? I'm 4? I'm more than 4. I'm even more than 4 and a half. I'm 5. Next month. Now for my next number. Away out here, they've got a name for wind and rain and fire.
Robin sings I'm 5 because that's what Kermit has given him permission to sing. And then at the very end of it, he tags on a couple of bars of They Call the Wind Maria.
Oh my god, it's like Robin is Elvis and Kermit the Frog is Tom Hanks being that crazy like Eastern European colonel being like, you'll sing the Christmas song, and he's like, I'm gonna be sexy, except it's the Muppet Show and it's Robin.
I don't think it's anything like that, but I really appreciate you trying to make a comparison to a modern film.
Considering he's not even watched Robin singing I'm 5.
But I have watched all 2.5 hours of Elvis, so who's the real winner?
Well, not you, because one of your favourite things happens at the end of I'm 5, which is, so he sings the few bars of They Call the Wind Maria, and he gets hoiked off by a cane.
No!
So
Yeah,
you
the
missed
vaudeville
cane.
cane
All of
comes
that,
back.
No, that's one of my dreams. I want to be hoiked off stage by a really big cane. Okay, well maybe I'll look it up for that.
You should. I thought Robin singing I'm 5 was perfectly cute and fine. He looked so tiny in that big armchair. Like of all of the, like, you know, like we were talking before about him on the floor and us just finding that a little bit strange, and like the hovering before he gets scooped up by Bernadette Peters, but like this kind of worked because he's just perched on the edge of the chair and he looks so small.
Doing a Ronnie Corbett monologue.
Yeah.
He never did that, so I don't know why.
Yeah. What did you both think of it?
Yeah, I thought it was quite sweet. I thought it was a shame, though, that obviously in the Disney Plus version they cut that all out because, to be honest, it means that the rest of the stuff with Robin doesn't really make any sense if you're just seeing it for the first time. So,
well, you say that. However, it does still kind of resolve. He wants to run away.
Yeah.
And then
And they sing just,
he doesn't. And then we just lose a secondary plot where he's then like, okay, I'm not going to run away. Give me a song, I suppose.
Well, but at the start of the episode, he has said, like, I want to get on stage. Like, that's what he's trying to get the courage up to say to Kermit. And then he decides he's going to run away because he's being ignored. So I feel like it does sort of still leave.
But then he's not ignored anymore because all the people are there. But yeah, I know what you mean. But yeah. So do we know why this is cut? Is it just purely a rights?
I'm going to guess it's a rights thing. And I don't know if it's a rights thing around I'm 5 or whether it's a rights thing around They Call the Wind Maria. I just wanted to say
which
the name
is ridiculous
again.
Considering we've had Beatles songs on here, like sung by Muppets in like original sort of compositions.
Yeah,
but we have had Beatles music on.
But
here.
it might be that it's like the case that the rights, like they're just saying no rather than it being like a money issue. Do you know, like
maybe Maria declined.
What, the wind?
No. It is really interesting having looked at, because this is one of the episodes that has the most emissions on Disney Plus. I mean, there are a couple that just aren't on, Like, I think Brooke Shields isn't, because
is missing.
Just the whole thing. I mean, I understand there's another one that's not on there for different reasons, but hers isn't on there for rights reasons. But then, this is what... I'm both impressed that so many episodes are intact, because this is exactly the kind of thing where you'd be like... Because I know that the DVDs they did in the last decade, one of the things that held them up was a lot of the right stuff. And so it's both impressive that they've got as much as they have, and then you go, but you couldn't get they call the Wind Marie, like, what? Like, you couldn't get the 2 songs that Robin the Frog wants to do.
I like the idea that whoever's, like, having to clear the rights for every episode doesn't like Robin and just went, fuck it. Do you know what I mean? Like, the people from They Call the Wind Maria were like, of course! And he just, like, pressed in his little box, declined.
No.
He just deleted that email.
Yeah, literally. That I've used that excuse before. It's like, can't find it in my inbox. Can't find it.
Sorry, I can't see it anywhere.
They call the wind deleted.
Yeah, it is a bit weird, because it does mean that you don't get any backstage business from...
No, literally from the Bernadette Peters backstage scene until the closing in front of the curtain.
Yeah, I was going to say that's it then.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I think of the Muppet Show as being a show that is almost half and half. I mean, I know it's not actually that much, even if you have this back in, but that you lose so much backstage business feels very un-Muppety.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is weird. It's really strange when we had it with the first episode of this season as well, where they had to cut backstage and the number because they ran into each other, and it's just like, it just really... They did
like a
swipe.
Side wipe.
Yeah.
Just to be like, and that's the end. And goodbye. You're like, oh, wait, what happened? Like, as if there'd been some sort of, like, dreadful murder or something. Like, Scooter had, like, ran somebody over with his car in the back of a scene.
Of course you'd say it was Scooter.
They had to do, like, a really awkward, like, pan zoom to hide half the frame. Like the opposite of the remastered Buffy's, where you can see all the crew in the corner. They converted it to widescreen. They were like, ugh, actually, we've cut half the Muppets.
Let's move on to your dear friend.
Applejack. Oh.
No.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Applejack. That's what I was referring to, isn't it?
So confused.
Sorry.
The Bumpkin Muppets? Like, it's just...
Oh, dear.
No, because the newsreader's not my friend. I just said he's, like, weirdly the Muppet I find most conventionally attractive.
Okay, that's messed up, man.
Look, some weirdo, some freak in 1979 built a Muppet with tits. All I'm saying is, like, a newsreader in a suit and glasses with a strong nose. Like... You know, it's like if you did a Muppet cartoon parody of Adam Driver. You know what I mean? Like, it's...
I was gonna say you've made a compelling argument, and then I opened the picture, and it's genuinely unsettling. I think mainly because the way this picture is cropped, and he's wearing a suit and tie, so it looks like a human body with a Muppet face.
Yeah,
and that's, I mean, sure. And then he gets it's the newsman sketch. The whole point is that he tries to read the news and gets
this is one of the first times we've had like a Muppet news flash that feels like what I expected a Muppet news flash to be. Interestingly,
because I think it's Muppet Family Christmas. Barometers are falling sharply, exactly. And then there's a barometer.
But actually, previously they used to be used as an addition. Like mainly, we've seen him as a sketch that includes the guest.
Well, season one,
they would have.
Oh, okay, so Weekend Update.
Yeah, well, as a sort of like picture-in-picture, being like I'm jogging for such and such, or I'm a satellite, or whatever.
They were never very good.
Yeah, and then in this, and then his would be sort of like slightly sort of like long-winded jokes with bad punchlines. This is the first one where literally it was just sort of like boom, done, and I loved it.
We had the Muppet Newsflash one that was a literal flash. It was an explosion, which I guess is similar to this.
But I prefer. I love a big prop.
Yeah, but I just mean, like, I feel like we moved in this direction.
Yeah.
It's not like this is...
I love things that are meant to be heavy, but are clearly aren't heavy.
Yeah.
He lived by the apple orchard in a little old orchard shack. His name was Jackson Taylor, but folks called him Applejack. And Applejack
Eric's a really good song.
Dolly!
It's Dolly Parton.
Exactly. I was like, this is Dolly.
It is Dolly. However, we have been tainted so much by these bumpkin Muppets, Rosie. Like, when
I'm so sorry. I think, Lubbock Glue and his Jug Huggers.
See, but Lewis, this is the...
Jug Huggers is my startup for bras for large-chested women.
Nice.
I think you'll find, Lewis, actually, these are the second jug band.
Exactly. This is what, Rosie, we've sat through so many variations of bloody jug bands and like toothless, bearded, actual feeted Muppet who stomped in wet
don't talk
mud,
about the mud.
Rosie.
Don't talk about the mud.
Oh God, don't talk about the feet in the mud.
But I actually think these ones, in a way, they've almost sort of Disney-fied the jug band.
Yeah, like these ones are not on crack. Like,
no, yeah, these ones are not.
These ones aren't like, oh my God, you get like a hard-hitting news report about like drug addiction in Appalachia.
Exactly.
This is like a tourist version.
Yeah, this is very much Frontierland, Disneyland Paris.
These are by the buffet. Like,
yes.
I sort of thought, well, the first time, okay, so I've now watched this episode 3 times, and the first 2 times I was just sort of charmed by, well, I think the first thing to say is I was shocked at Bernadette's southern singing voice, because I didn't know she could do that, although of course she can do that, because she can do anything. But then I was just sort of charmed at how much she seemed to be enjoying herself, and the way that she was, like, interacting with the jug band, I thought was very sweet. But then the third time I watched it today, I was just like, oh, the staging is just so boring and it's so static, and like they could have, like, I feel like if they still wanted to do this song, they like could have just done so much more with it.
Yeah.
I just don't get, with Bernadette Peters, we don't have anything that alludes to Broadway in any way over this episode whatsoever. You know, when we've had like Ben Vereen and we've had Joel Grey, they've at least done one number where it's like a city street or just, you know, razzle dazzle. And with Bernadette Peters, we put her in a white void with trees and then down country. Like, I'm just like, it's Bernadette Peters. Do you know?
Yeah, there's nothing. She could be any other guest who can sing.
Exactly.
They aren't showing her off as Bernadette Peters. I mean, she's wonderful. All of her performances are beautifully sung, wonderfully emoted. But I'm not like, she's gonna be the witch in Into the Woods in a decade's time.
And it's not even like, it doesn't even feel like a musical version of, like, you know, this, you know, this was not the, you know, the Oklahoma we were expecting, Rosie, when we walked into the recent production that we saw. You know, this is what we... Do you remember so much blood in the original production of Oklahoma?
Don't get me started, because I have derailed multiple podcast episodes already trying to talk about that production of Oklahoma.
In that, well, conclusion, Rosie hated it, but for the reasons that the show intended her to find Oklahoma suddenly incredibly uncomfortable.
Thought it was fantastic. Absolutely hated it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know what you mean, that they've just gone for like, we'll put you in 70s Dolly cosplay and plunk you on a stage, and I was about to say, you know, it's kind of towards the end, you don't need it to be like the big thing, but this is actually the final number.
Yeah, this is her finale, this is her big number, like...
And they've got her on a hay bale.
Yeah, and she's just like stroking some Muppets, like it's really... it's really strange.
Yeah.
Maybe she just loved this song. This song came out in 1977, like it was the same year.
Oh, so it's like her doing Dua Lipa.
That's always your reference.
It's what? Look.
I was going to say, it was like hot off the press.
It's because whenever it's always like a song 2 years ago, I just think 2020, so I think future nostalgia. Okay? Like, weird Blair Witch Ghost of Emma. What did you think of?
Yeah, I didn't want to comment on it, but as the darkness is drawn in around you, Emma, it is haunting.
Yeah, I'm genuinely waiting for like, what was that? Is it like Bazooza? What's the Exorcist?
Bazooza. Yeah, exactly. That's what I looked at.
Emma, your eyes have gone like green because of the reflection of the screen as well.
I
like,
kind of want to
really
print screen it just so we have evidence of like, but I'm also scared to touch anything on my computer.
Yeah, don't touch any buttons, Lewis.
Somebody else does it who trusts.
I've done it. It's fine.
I've done it.
Oh,
it's okay.
No, I thought it was a great song, and you know, it was fun to see Bernadette interact with the other Muppets. But like you guys were saying, it was just a shame that was it. Like, there was no like showbiz pizzazz. There was no, I didn't come away from it seeing much of her personality, to be completely honest. It just felt a bit of a like, oh, okay, well, that's it kind of thing, really.
I want a jazz shoe. I want a fishnet. I want a sparkly jacket. Like,
Give me Fosse.
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm not asking for the moon.
Then at the end, when she comes on for the little goodbye
Goodbyes.
everyone, that was our show, she's got like the black outfit and like the pinback 70s Broadway hair.
Yeah.
It looks like that's what you put on to do your big like, okay, everybody, thanks so much.
Yeah.
Start spreading the news. You know.
Why is she singing in a bass? And just...
Because I'm very tired. And that's the key I'm singing after the watershed.
Rosie saw that Jane Lynch tweet from earlier and thought,
I did.
Oh my god! Like,
I really took it to heart.
Emma, you won't have seen this. Jane Lynch wrote this awful tweet. Like, let me see if I can just pick it up quickly.
What was
What's
she
so weird
on
is that
when she wrote
I
that?
saw some tweets that clearly were referring to it, but you know when you're on Twitter and you go, "There's discourse happening here," but I don't know what the discourse is about, so I was trying to find the original thing, and then found it of all places on the Who Weekly Instagram account. And because I was like, somebody said something really stupid. You could have put a gun to my head and told me to name 1,000 people, and I would never have said, I think it's Jane Lynch.
Yeah, unless something else has happened on that godforsaken production of Funny Girl, where actually, like Jane Lynch actually just like,
maybe
I don't know,
she's trying to get cancelled so she can leave even earlier.
Yeah, booted Beanie Feldstein in like the tit or something. Where she's just like.
Protect
The tweet
Beanie!
Yeah. The tweet is, I love women. I am a woman. Our voices are higher than men's voices. Women's voices get into the annoying area if it gets too high. If you're doing a podcast, consider lowering your pitch a tad. If you think I'm being sexist about this, then I don't know what to do with you.
Okay, Jane.
I mean, the best thing is that the reply underneath is just a photo of Elizabeth Holmes of the Theranos.
Yeah, great.
And I saw somebody else just posting the meme of obviously Jane Lynch being like, I'm going to create an environment that is so toxic. And it's just...
Yeah, I saw someone do, I'm going to express an opinion that is so counterproductive.
Yeah, so, shut up, Jane Lynch.
Wild.
Yeah, why can't we just replace you with Tova right now? Just get you right out. Or just burn Funny Girl to the ground. I don't know, like burn it all down. Should we do the closing of this episode?
Yeah, I just wanted, talking about the goodbyes, I noticed on my third watch that Miss Piggy was positioned so that Jerry Nelson could get, this sounds dodgy, it's not meant to, but so that he could stand behind Bernadette Peters and do Robin.
Ah.
So Miss Piggy was like blocking the front of Bernadette, and she didn't move at all. So I'm assuming that was the purpose of that.
So you put her on a coat hanger. It's funny when you think about how Muppets are ostensibly just very over-the-top gloves.
Oh my god. I've never sort of considered it that way before. But now I'm just considering like just going to an event wearing
a Kermit.
Yeah. Did you see that thing on Twitter where it was the the Am I the Asshole Reddit,
okay, about the puppet wedding. I saw the phrase puppet wedding and thought, I do not want to engage. Jane Lynch can have this one.
I have not seen this.
Okay, a couple who are puppeteers and met doing some sort of puppet workshop wanted just to have puppets be a central thing of their wedding. They asked their guests to each buy an individual $100 to $500 puppet and operate them all day.
No.
And so you come to the church and you're there with your puppet. You go to the reception. You have your puppet. You sit down to dinner.
This is like what we were joking about with Charlie McCarthy going to a wedding.
Yeah,
like,
literally. And then and they were like, we were careful to like choose a buffet, like buffet food that would be able to be eaten with one hand, so you don't even take your puppet off during dinner. And they were like, obviously, we wouldn't expect you to take the Muppets to the bathroom. And it's like, well, it doesn't sound like that.
Well, you've thought about that, haven't you? Like, what I want to know is, do they have one recommended puppet maker? Because I think the fact that if all the puppets looked the same, that would be the most pleasing thing. But if some people have got glove puppets and some people have got, like, Avenue Q, then it's going to really ruin the vibe.
So I think the thing that people got...
That's what's going to ruin the vibe.
Yeah, sorry.
As opposed to the 200 puppets. I think they would direct them all to one particular puppet maker. Because
Who is making that many for a whole wedding?
Some poor puppet maker is like,
They
why
don't
do I
have
have
enough
to keep
time.
buying? Like, I don't have this
No.
many puppet tuxedos.
No,
I feel like I've had a run.
that's a lot of puppets. That's too many puppets.
I had a run on puppet tuxedos.
Well, it's a formal event, Lewis. What are they gonna wear?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Just going back to the goodbyes, I did like there's like we've still got a bit of this podcast to go. Like we need to get moving. like we've now done the equivalent of.
And if we're not careful, Emma's gonna entirely disappear into the nether realm. So
Emma is actually a demon.
Emma's going to disappear into the upside down version of where Bernadette Peters was for her.
Yeah,
opening
with
number.
Timmy Monster and Sweetums. I'm going to put the light on, but I might end up like disappearing, so let's see what happens.
Okay, cool. Oh, this is going to be like the jump scare where you turn the light on and somebody's standing behind you.
Don't.
flipping
It's a puppet.
Timmy Monster.
Yeah.
Charlie McCarthy.
Charlie McCarthy. The one little thing I did love in the goodbyes was after Robin falls off of Bernadette's shoulder and she scoops him up, she turns round and she says, he's gonna make it, I think. As if he's like really had quite a like he's already like
I didn't hear her say
Just
that.
prepping him for his Tiny Tim days.
for his tiny coffin.
Another little puppet tuxedo.
Clip, and then they just toss it out the window. Any other thoughts before we move on to rankings?
Just the Statler and Waldorf button saying about
Oh, yeah.
Miss Mousy. Loved her. What? We didn't. Like, just great that Piggy is still terrorizing them right till the last.
Ready to like club them. Well, I will be very interested to see how we rank this episode, but first we must each decide on our MVMP, otherwise known as our most valued Muppet performer. Jade, why don't you kick us off?
So I honestly think there's only one MVMP for this episode, and that is Beaker. I think he absolutely steals the show. He's so funny. He's so good. Miles above everyone else, in my opinion. The absolute definition of a Muppet that comes in for one sketch and yeah, you're just like, that's what you're remembering and that's what you're thinking about afterwards. So yeah, I'm going with Lewis Beaker. So
Me.
Emma?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you, Jade. My MVMP is going to be Beaker.
Yay!
He's so well formed in this episode, considering this is probably like the second time that we've seen him. And he just is Beaker, and he's just really funny, like what you were saying earlier, with his kind of his little movements and like his hands, and like where he does this little thing where he takes his hair off and puts it back on again, and his reluctance to sort of drink the Bunsonium. I just think he's really, really funny, and he made a really great impression in this episode. So for that reason, he is my MVMP as well. How about you, Rosie?
Okay, so I am going for generic chicken puppet because I feel like they were a bit of a runner, but like a stealth runner. So we had a sandwich, we had some chopsticks, and we had the classic bomb egg. And I felt that a lot of my favorite performances were sidelined this week. So it's going to be my MVMP is unnamed chicken puppet.
Very good. So of course I am going for the Shake's wife.
Oh, you haven't done your outfit of the week.
Oh my god, I haven't done my outfit. God, I forget this every single week. What is my outfit for this week? I think it's probably going to be either Kermit's little suit from his opening. No, oh my god, no, I'll just choose Miss Mousie's Victorian getup.
God.
Her nightgown.
Because when we were kids, I did enjoy dressing in Emma's Mrs. Tiggywinkle outfit on an occasion or two.
That's what I wore when I had COVID and I took to my bed. I put my mop bonnet on.
So that's my outfit for the week. And I mean, I worry that I am just going to end up choosing Beaker every single week. So I did wonder whether I actually, in a surprise twist, will not choose Beaker this week and actually go for Muppet Newsman. Only because this is the kind of Muppet News Flash sketch that I fully expected from him since kind of the beginning, really. So I gave my MVMP to Beaker when he first turned up earlier this season. So, in a surprise move, I'm actually going to choose Muppet Newsreader because I hope this is the beginning of more just very quick, very prop-based sketches where Muppet Newsman is injured in some way. And then I'll take care of him.
Oh dear.
Okay, so let's move on to our rankings for the week. Rosie.
So I'm going to give this episode, I think, a 7 tongue depressors out of 10.
Nice.
Because I think it's pretty solid. There were some sketches that I really liked. I really enjoyed, it feels like a while since we talked about it, but the how could you believe me when I said I loved you when you know I've been a liar all my life. I really enjoyed some Applejack.
Some real titles this episode, like
Bomb egg.
Bomb egg, get me, mummy, get me some water or whatever it is.
Call the wind, Maria.
And
is that an instruction? Call
No,
the wind,
they
Maria.
call the
They call the wind.
They call
But is
the
it-
wind, Maria.
That they call it. That's her
I'm
name.
guessing.
Or I'm telling Maria that they're calling the wind.
I'm assuming it's her name. It's the wind's name.
Yeah, so I'm going for 7 because it feels like pretty good sketches. But as a whole, I don't feel like, wow, what a complete bomb egg of a show.
Nice. Emma, what are you going to give this episode out of 10 this week?
I'm going to give it the same as Rosie, actually. I'm going to give it 7 grasshoppers out of 10. I kind of agree with what Rosie said, to be honest. There's some really good bits in it, like Miss Mousy and Kermit's song is really cute. I love Kermit's little tuxedo that he wears.
Emma calls out the tuxedo every single time Kermit
I know,
wears
I love his tuxedos. They're so cute.
Well, we know where those puppets are getting them for the wedding.
This is actually a view of Emma's eyes from all the sewing she's been doing.
Sorry, Emma, carry on.
Sorry, Emma.
That's all right, don't worry. Yeah, so I would probably say that. And also Bernadette's song that she did with Sweetums, Fogg and Timmy was quite cute. And also, obviously, when she did the song for Robin, which I thought was just super sweet. And obviously when we had all the Muppets coming in. But then there were some pretty bad, like, songs and sketches, like the Bomb Egg, the really bad UK spot. So, yeah, this particular episode, I'm going to give it 7 out of 10. How about you, Jade?
So, yeah, I was a little bit torn because I do feel like it doesn't coalesce into like the best episode, and obviously, as we originally watched it on Disney Plus, it's missing the end of the runner and also Robin's number, which is just a bit of a shame, as we were discussing. So I'm going to go for 6.5 out of 10 Miss Piggy Hammerlocks. I feel like I really enjoyed the Miss Piggy, Miss Mousy runner. Take a Little One Step is very cute, although I did want it to go further and escalate a bit more. I loved the chickens throughout the episode. They were great. I really enjoyed Sam the Eagle, and yeah, obviously Just One Person is adorable and really, really sweet and cute. Muppet Labs was brilliant. And yeah, I mean, I enjoyed all the chaos, although it was a bit of a shame that it wasn't broken up with the Robin stuff. But yeah, I feel like things like Applejack, were quite disappointing. Obviously, the Shake of Araby was just, I don't even know. Like, there are no words for how terrible that was. And I just think I think it is a bit of a shame that we didn't see more of Bernadette's personality in this episode. Like, I think she's an absolute icon of screen and stage, and yeah, I do feel like she was kind of underutilized in a way. Lewis, how about you?
I'm actually going to go even lower. I'm actually going to go down to 6 bad shoe puns out of 10. Only because, and I think it's slightly because I think, unfortunately, I went into this episode with higher expectations because of knowing who Bernadette Peters was and the idea of like, oh my God, what could they be doing with Bernadette Peters? What are we going to get? And so then I was kind of let down by my own excitement about, what we could have potentially gotten.
Unlike Sam the Eagle in this episode, you were hoisted by your own petard in this episode.
I was. So I think, and the combination of that, and also the main plot revolving around Robin, who unfortunately I just do not find engaging or interesting as a character. Quite a few bad sketches. I actually find the back half of the episode a bit stronger, even though it's chaos. But Bernadette does the best she can with what she's given, which is, she sings 3 songs beautifully, but she's not given really any kind of anything fun to play around with. I mean, the best she gets is maybe a bit of skipping around and directing the 3 big boy Muppets about a bit, which is like, no, over here, and that's kind of it. Like, yeah. So I think, unfortunately, 6 bad shoe puns out of 10 for this one. As we crack into what's probably going to be nearly 2 hours of an episode, let's mosey on over to Jade's book club.
So I've picked a little section this week which is talking about the set design, and you'll hopefully understand a bit more when I read it, but I thought this was quite relevant because of some of the challenges that we have spoken about with Robin this week. So this is from Of Muppets and Men by Christopher Finch. And Christopher Finch writes, "At the outset of the series, the design department was faced with a considerable challenge. David Chandler, the department head, recalls that he met with Henson a few weeks before the pilot shows were scheduled to be taped. After some preliminary discussions about the major permanent sets, Chandler promised to deliver sketches in a week. Henson explained, apologetically, that he had to return to New York in 2 days. Working at top speed and basing his ideas to a large extent on the toy theatre designs that used to be known in England as penny plain tuppence coloured, Chandler came up with a basic concept that Henson liked very much. We quickly learned, said Chandler, that designing for the Muppets has its own special set of problems. Take the backstage set, for example. We knew it had to be built on platforms and that we had to provide room for the puppeteers to work, also that it had to look old and used, but the big problem was scale. If you look carefully at the set, you'll see that the staircase is full size, but the doors at the top of the stairs are about 7/8 the size of a regular door. The whole thing has to work for both guest stars and puppets. That's not easy to achieve. And then where do you find the props that fit in with all of this? You need miniatures. We had people scouring antique shops and junk stores all over London. Luckily, we discovered that there were many beautiful Victorian toys, detailed just like the real things they were modelled on, which were the perfect size. It's very important that the sets look naturalistic. The viewer has to believe that the Muppet Theatre is a real place. Also, we have always had to be careful about the colour, keeping it low-keyed to set off the stylisation of the Muppets."
I mean, if I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Those doors are only 7/8 the size of a regular door.
That's all you keep banging on about.
Yeah, I have. I've been banging on those doors. Rosie, thank you so much for joining us this
Twice.
week and also 3 weeks ago.
Oh, it's lovely.
Well, I'm so pleased. No, we really appreciate it. And also, we're very glad that you have recovered, or still in the process of recovering, but looking much better.
Look, I didn't die.
And look,
Yet.
who did not die.
No, it's been an absolute treat. I'm gonna find a way to finagle my way back in every season. So, because this has been wonderful.
You shall, absolutely. And until you pop up again on another episode, Rosie, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Rosie@large, and also at a yarn shop called at SlipStitchLDN, also on Twitter and Instagram. But mainly my personal Twitter, where I spend far too much time.
Don't we all? Doom scrolling. It counts as a hobby. And thank you so much to you at home for listening to Muppetsational. If you've enjoyed the episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review, as it really helps spread the word about the podcast. You can follow us on social media. We are at Muppetsational on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook. You can contact us at hiho@muppetspodcast.com, and you can find out more about us and the podcast at muppetspodcast.com. Thank you so much for sticking with us on this both bumper and audio, orally challenged episode of The Muppet Show, mainly by my own stupidity. I've been Lewis Chandler.
I've been Jade Turner. We'll see you soon.
And I've been Emma Chandler.
We shall see you next week on another episode of Muppetsational.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye!
Our theme music is Peppy Pepe by Kevin MacLeod, and our artwork is designed by Charlotte Rudge. who you can follow at Charlie_R_Rudge on Instagram.
That was a funny show.
Yes, it was. I wonder if they meant it that way.